Hello and welcome to episode 330 of the Destiny Community Podcast, where Watts unplugs it and plugs it back in again. Watts, how's it going with your computer?
Oh, it's super dead.
It's super dead?
Yeah. Yeah, it's either CPU or motherboard. So
Wait, what's happened?
Have you tried power washing it?
tried literally everything. Literally everything. So I was playing Destiny, computer blue screened, was like, blue screens happen sometimes, I'll figure it out later. And then it just kept blue screening. Did a fresh install of Windows. Had to try maybe 5 times to do a fresh install of Windows before it would actually make it there without blue screening. And then trying to install drivers and stuff and kind of poke around of what's going on, and it would crash again. So we've done everything, and it's
This is your gaming
It's most
PC?
likely the CPU. Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Is it a new computer or an old computer?
This is the new one. Yeah.
The new one. Oh, man. Did you buy it pre-built or did you put it together yourself?
Put it together.
Oh, damn it. If you buy it pre-built, you just send that shit back.
You guys typically do the try each component thing, like memory, CPU, motherboard, power supply. Got it.
That's hard to do with CPU and motherboard, though. That's
it is with CPU and motherboard. We're kind of assuming it's CPU because it loads to BIOS. So the fact that it's still able to load and stuff is probably CPU.
Where'd you buy the parts? Did you buy it locally or did you buy them online?
Online.
Oh, nuts. That's hard. It's so hard. Like, if you buy it locally, you used to be able to buy stuff locally. Back in my day, you used to be able to go to a store and buy stuff, and if it was broken, you could return it. But now it takes, almost a full day to get stuff in the mail. Very inconvenient.
I bought like an SSD or something. Not an what's the little stick ones you plug in? You plug it directly into motherboard.
Was it M2?
NVMe.
Yeah, M2. Yeah. M2, whatever. I bought one of them, and I put Anthem on. This is back in Anthem. I put Anthem on it, right?
Oh, that's your first mistake.
And Anthem kept crashing, and it literally fucked up the stick. It just wouldn't. Yeah. And I took it back to the shop because I did buy it locally. I took it back. I said, mate, this thing's busted. It won't work.
He's like, did you install Anthem on it?
And they took out the back. And they're like, yeah, there's so many funky errors on this. It's completely balked. I'm like, I don't know what happened to it. And then they're like, oh, we'll send it back. And they're like, no. I was like, you got to get me a new one like now because it's obviously the fault of the thing. It's broken, right? You can see it's broken. Got a new one. And then did not install Anthem on that one.
I had a PC that was blue screening constantly. Actually, Jay might remember this because we had to not do a retro slot show one time that I was supposed to be streaming. I just couldn't get the computer to boot up, and I was trying everything. The problem ended up being as a USB drive was bad, and it was just fucking borking the computer every 3 seconds. It was ridiculous. I unplugged that USB drive and everything was fine.
Yep.
You know what? It is really satisfying
I gave
when
it to
you
my
figure
kids.
that stuff out, though. When you finally get it down and pinpoint the problem and you fix it, you're like, I did it.
And then I usually go to myself, okay, write this down somewhere because I'm sure this issue will happen in another couple years. And I'll go through the same motions going, what did I do again?
Yeah. Oh, God, I hate it.
So Destiny had some bad news this week. Actually, there's a couple things, but the worst one was, unfortunately, Lance Reddick, who plays Zavala, passed away this week, which was very sad news for not just the Destiny community, but just fans of cool people, right?
Yeah, he's someone who, no matter who's met him, whether it's a fan, whether it's an interaction on Twitter, whether it's movie producers, whether it's someone who's working on a game with him, everyone just says how amazing he is and loves him so much. And that is not a common thing to find. Even with people who are really good people, you don't normally find people singing their praises everywhere. I think this hits really hard for the Destiny community because he's been a voice in the game for 10 years.
Yeah.
And not only has he been in our lives for so long, but he interacts with us and he's one of us. He has thousands of hours in Destiny. He plays a lot of Destiny and he interacts with everyone so genuinely and so kindly. That it hit a lot of us really, really hard.
Yeah, it wasn't just the passing of a celebrity. It was the passing of a guardian, which
Yeah.
I know is hard to explain to someone outside of the Destiny community, but he really felt like somebody who interacted all the time on Twitter. Like he was just like one of us in the community, while also playing such a huge role in the narrative and the story and putting his all into that while also giving to the community. And it really felt like, another one of us in the Destiny community. And I was trying to explain it to people who don't play the game, and it was hard for me to get out the words to properly convey how emotional it was for all of us to see that this week. It was really difficult.
Yeah.
It was really cool to see the stories from the developers as well. That one story about raiding with him and all that stuff, and just how excited he was, and just genuinely fun, of an experience it was for Lance and stuff. And then Keanu Reeves had like some words to say from their movies together and stuff. So yeah, it's been cool.
Yeah.
It was certainly a sad day. It was sad to see. He's just so young too. He's what, 60 years old?
60. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man.
Such a surprise as well. It
Yeah.
it wasn't, anything that any of us knew about, at least. So when it's someone who's just around you all the time, he was on Twitter and he's like very active on social media and posting, the day before. To then see that news was a big shock.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he's a real loss.
Yeah.
Hard to transition away from that. We're gonna try. We got a lot of show.
Yeah.
I guess
We'll start with happy news.
All
Jay's
right.
here.
Yeah,
Jay Sniperton is going to be joining us, and
right.
Jay's great.
Jay is great.
Jay's going to be joining us 2 weeks on the podcast and 2 weeks off, so he gets to be with TV and Lego.
Nice.
Get the dipping with the boys. And before anyone starts yelling at me, Jay is not replacing Tefty. Tefty will not just disappear. If there becomes a time where whatever Tefty ends up getting into with his life and what he needs to do, where he does need to permanently step away, he's not just going to disappear. He'll come on the podcast. He'll talk to you guys. Like, he's not just going to disappear. So
That's right.
Don't think that this does not mean that Tefty is gone.
No. This is in
Not
addition to.
Yes.
This is to make the show better, plus, not to replace.
Getting more perspectives of the different activities in Destiny. We need a Gambit main, which is Tefty. So, Gambit.
Tefty
just
left the scene for those not watching.
We got the PvP. We got the lore.
Tefty says he'll come back to the show when they update Gambit.
Yeah.
Oh, we've lost him then. Don't say that.
He's gone forever.
You better keep telling Bungie to update Gambit.
Jay, what is your kind of core competency in the Destiny community? What do you do?
I mean, from day one, my love of Destiny has come from cooperative activities. Sometimes I've dipped my toes into PvP and whatnot here and there, and I don't hate it, but I've always gotten my joy of this game through raids, GMs now, and just laughing and having a good time, helping people, all that kind of stuff. So really, I'd say my competency is through raids. I think just a little while ago, a couple of months ago, I think I broke 2,500 total between D1 and T2.
Wow.
Raids. Like, I wish you could have counted the Sherpas and stuff that you did in D1, but they didn't have that tracker. I don't know, just laughing and connecting and being a goofball and all that stuff. Just it there's not a lot of games that you can do that in,
Right.
at least not in a first person shooter. So yeah, that's what I love to do.
Nothing really stacks up to a first person shooter raid. This is just not an experience out there that you can do.
There's not.
Comes close to a Destiny raid
Ghost
or
of
even a
Tsushima
dungeon.
was damn close, but
I was gonna say,
one.
even though it's third person, Ghost of Tsushima, you could tell that they're Destiny fans in the way that they crafted the raid. It was very similar encounters,
was so
moving ones,
good.
and it was
That's
so
cool.
It's so good. It's a very good raid. They did a great job.
Yeah, it felt super.
Was it just the one they did?
Yeah, they just did one. It was
They just
free
did one.
DLC that came out 6 months after the game came out. So I don't even know how many people played it. They never made another one, but it was
So good.
fantastic.
It
was
really was.
really great.
Right.
It felt like a Destiny raid. Crazy.
Mhm.
In Ghost of Tsushima.
And
Very
it's
cool.
Destiny sort of influences my like perspective on all games because I've been playing a bit of Diablo. I played a bit of Diablo, the beta. Diablo, really enjoyed it. Like, I think it's a very good game. I actually released a review on it. The open beta is this weekend, but I'm always like, where's the raid? Where's the 6-player? Like, like every game I'm like, oh, where's the hardcore experience? It's gonna absolutely melt my brain. And you just like, it's hard to not compare other games to having that end game experience, which is probably why people were quite upset with the most recent raid because you didn't sort of get that. But it's still so much content in raids and dungeons and Destiny that nothing else exists out there that's like it.
Yeah. That's weird how Destiny has that on the PvE side and on the PvP side with the weapon and like the gameplay feel. There's nothing else out there that feels like Destiny. And then on the PvE side, there's nothing else out there that quite has this FPS raid experience and hardcore experience that Destiny has. So it has twofold these two things that are really awesome that no other game has.
I was arguing with Chad about this because I was trying to say... Yeah, there was a lot of yelling. Because, PvP games that are like MMO or like Diablo, like ARPGs, it is about like that gear and like how long you've grinded it for and having that distinct advantage. And I think when you translate that to like Destiny with a first-person shooter, regardless of, the state of Crucible right now, there is still like some skill factor in actually aiming a weapon compared to like a third-person MMO AoE attacks where it's maybe more based on like the time investment than it is movement tech or skill. And I think, that's why Destiny players want to move back to those aspects. So I think that's what distincts it from other PvP MMO lights or ARPGs, where you still have an advantage from playing the game. You get the perks, you get the god roll, you get the Trials of Osiris gun, which is just terrorizing the Crucible right now. But you still, you have to aim it.
Yeah, the best player with the worst weapon is still going to wipe the floor with the worst player with the best weapon.
Yeah, definitely.
Unless it's a sticky grenade meta.
This is double firebolts because
very similar to that right now.
Yeah, it kind of feels like that.
Yeah, I don't. But some of those trials matches, I didn't even get to see a person.
Yeah, should we talk about trials?
Trials happened. Yeah. Trials is back. It was trials. It was fun. I played a lot of trials because Toma was looking for his god roll gun. It took him maybe 160 games to even see one with rangefinder. So we played probably like, I don't know, 200 or something games of trials. And in the beginning, it's pretty fun. I was having a good time. I was like, wow, this is actually like a pretty fun experience. But then as the week went on, the weekend, firebolts started coming more and more and more and more. And if you don't know what's going on with firebolts, there's an artifact. There's 2 mods in the artifact. One gives you double firebolts, and the other one makes it apply more scorch. So all it really took is one of your teammates getting hit by 2 firebolts, and they would explode and kill all of you if you were like anywhere near each other.
Wow, that sounds fun.
It was tough.
No, it's not fun. Stop it. So you have these teams that are just they have 6 firebolts. So you'd load up, you'd go a different way because most people just threw it over the middle, and you just see like firebolt, 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 firebolt. And if it wasn't that, it was trip mines. So, or it was Titans using Peacekeepers and the new SMG.
Oh yeah, lots of the SMG.
Yeah, it was. So I actually surprisingly had a good time solo because they had the new matchmaking in place too. So it wasn't a freelance node or anything. You just click on it. And I play in essentially off hours in Australia, like during the middle of the day. And I was in the flawless pool. And I'm probably 50% of matches were like pretty good. And then it started to get really sweaty towards the end with the firebolts came out. But I was surprised because normally I just get matched with the same people over and over again. So the population was obviously there, even in like off peak. So that was nice. And I I'd be interested to see if my numbers matched what Bungie's percentages were when they gave them out in was it the Crucible TWAB that had the Crucible patch notes that they had about the new matchmaking system and the percentage chance of getting 1v1s versus you being in a solo team versus someone with maybe has a duo or a full squad. Like I felt like I started to get quite a few duos after a while, but I was also in like off-peak times, and so maybe that was just the only sort of option. But it felt good in general, to be honest. It felt better than it's previously been.
Sorry, were you fighting mostly single squads on the other end, or were they teams, or like your opponents?
I definitely got frustrated and felt like I was going against duos because they obviously had the same clan tags. But I don't know if that was just me raging out. I don't know I'd be interested if I went back and actually looked at each game to see what the percentage looked like. It felt like I started coming up against quite a few duos. So me being a solo,
lot of duos, yeah.
And then versing at least a duo in the other team.
Wouldn't be surprised if the solos, that solo number starts going down the further it gets into the weekend as well. Because I'm sure it's like people are like, "Oh, sure, I'll hop in solo into trials," and then they're like, "I've had enough," and then it just ends up being the people that kind of want to farm a bit more. And duo is probably the way to go for that because as a solo, you can get matched with duo. So just having one other player with you to avoid the 3-man teams, but have someone who's not going to quit and maybe can talk to you and knows kind of what they're doing is good.
That's interesting. Yeah. I mean, it's been interesting to hear y'all's perspective because I kind of did all three. I started with 3 through the weekend on Friday, and then the next day I did 2. And the next day I just soloed the rest of the time. And I had a really good experience with the matchmaking settings. I don't think I ever faced like if I was running 2, I always matched 2. If I was running solo, I don't think I ever matched a team. I might have played a duo at some point, but I never noticed it. And it was just a really good experience. And then all throughout my Discord and the other Crucible Discords I'm in, everyone was saying in those communities, like, I've never wanted to step foot in trials. I did for the first time and I had a great time. I actually wanted to do more. And that's so cool to hear. Like I haven't heard that in so long. And that's just from these fire team matchmaking settings that we have now versus there's even more coming down the line that we'll get to today in this Crucible blog post. But just to have even just this increase the population makes me really excited for the future of the Trials playlist.
It makes me want to play more because I can be like, oh, on Friday I can just like hop in solo or just grab one other person. I don't have to be like, okay, as time goes on, it's going to get sweatier and sweatier. And it's going to be the 3-man teams and they're going to be using, of course, whatever advantage they can to win. So it does definitely make me want to stay engaged with trials longer into the season.
It was it was the first weekend of trials in the new season with a really good weapon out there. So
it
makes sense that a lot of people would be wanting to play trials this weekend.
It does.
Yeah. To see what happens, a couple of months down the line.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Jay, do you do a lot of Crucible? We talked about raids earlier. Or do you play much Crucible?
So, I mean, I have in the past. There was a point, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago when I just decided to stick to stuff that I genuinely enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll play. I would have probably played some trials over the weekend, but I was out of town. And when there's a weapon that I'm like, oh my gosh, that's great in PvE, I will jump in and play some trials. I think when freelance trials first came out, I played like the first 2 out of the 3 weekends and got flawless through the freelance stuff and actually had a pretty decent time.
Nice.
But yeah, I'm not not trying to be like, oh me, but a lot of people have been complaining over the last few months and stuff, and I'm like, I don't really want to be involved in that. But now that if the playlist feels good, if the weapons are good, then yeah, I'll probably jump in again.
Nice. So you would have played if you were around.
Sure,
basically, the weapon's good enough. Cool.
Yeah,
that's what I was kind of wondering.
Social media, everybody talking about their roles and stuff. It's hard not to want to jump in for a little bit,
It was crazy. And oh my God, let me tell you, there are a lot of immortals around. When you load up into an Iron Banner match, just the only sound you hear is the sound of the immortal shooting. And everyone has rangefinder target lock. Every single person.
Not me. Even though I don't have the god roll, it's still just I don't know. It feels really good. It's a
Its
crazy
base
good gun.
stats are crazy, crazy good. And with the god roll, you can get to 90 range on the SMG, and that's before you take into
Alacrity.
consideration rangefinder.
Well, and alacrity too, which will put you at 100 range with rangefinder.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I do want to say real quick, if you're struggling against those in the Crucible this week, I know there's a lot of complaints, Iron Banners going on right now, and everybody's like, the SMG. I'm begging y'all to run higher than 4 resilience, so 5 resil or up will keep you from getting absolutely obliterated at, it's like a 0.56 second TTK if you're running 4 resil or under. That's how fast you can die to it. But if you run between 5 and 7 resil, your TTK doesn't, your time to kill value doesn't actually change whether they get target lock running or not. And you can double check that on D2 Foundry, which now has the ability to actually review your perks. Like you can activate the perk and see what the time to kill levels are. So quick tip, run at least 5 resil if you're tired of the Immortal.
Okay. I mean, I always just run 100 because I'm dumb,
Yeah,
big
I
dumb,
mean-
dumb. So.
Yeah, I have 20.
Huh?
Listen,
20?
I got too many stats to go into as a hunter in PvP.
It's tough
okay?
for hunters.
Yeah, that is true.
I got too many stats, especially if I want to grapple a lot. Like I need discipline, I need recovery, I need mobility. I ain't got enough stats to go around.
What roles did y'all get any roles that you really love this weekend?
Yeah, I did.
You got all the roles?
Just like it's a secret.
So the first roll that I got was kind of like the really good roll for stability. So like tap the trigger, dynamic sway with high cal and everything. But then I did end up getting the target lock, rangefinder, high cal, full bore, range masterwork.
Man,
Yeah.
the full package.
So right now I'm in Iron Banner using Michael's Reverence because I crafted it. Oh, I crafted it on Tuesday.
Nice.
Is that the palsy?
That is
Sidearm.
the raid sidearm,
Oh, the sidearm.
where tap the trigger just works all the time on that for some reason.
That's cool.
Sidearms with controller that are full auto like that are really difficult to use because they just kick so hard. Yeah, I'm a dirty controller player. Sorry.
Oh no, me too. I'm right there with you. I'm a low sensitivity controller player. Let that aim assist do all the work for me. I'm all about it.
I think I'm on like 3 or 4. Yeah.
That's the way. This is the way.
On the mouse and keyboard.
What are you doing, Mylan? Maybe you'll become a PvP legend if you plug in the controller.
I keep telling myself if I just keep using mouse and keyboard, I'll get better.
You know,
how many years has it been now?
After playing Destiny 1 on a controller, when I switched over to PC, I lost the ability to use a controller within like minutes. It was incredibly fast. How fast I could not use a controller anymore. I couldn't aim.
It is hard
at all.
Yeah. That's
Don't
why
think
I
I could use
ended
a
up
controller.
just using controller across both, because when it first came to PC, I was going between console and PC to play with people. So going between the FPS and the
30
FOV
FPS
was a struggle. But then also changing the input method was it was just a disaster. So I was like, let me at least make one thing be the same. So that's why I ended up just sticking with controller.
We had a match against the devs, the podcast did. And I was so bad with a controller, I bought one of those. What is it called? A Zim, where you could plug.
Don't tell people this, Briar. You're gonna get yourself in trouble.
I was telling people while I was playing against the devs.
He was. He was like, I got my Zim. Yeah.
That's great.
He was ahead of the
Aim
time, you
assist.
could say.
Not surprised. I don't know why.
Yeah, no. That's on brand.
You would.
Hey, the original Zim user of console Destiny was Dr. Lupo, because
Yeah,
he did
that's
not
true.
use controller for like any game. And he obviously loved Destiny, wanted to play Destiny. So
Turned out terribly for
he's
him,
using Zim.
obviously. So
He's doing pretty well. He's a pretty great guy, dude.
Do you reckon you get away with doing that these days?
Zim?
With a
If
keyboard and
people
mouse.
knew about
Oh.
it now, no, I don't
It's a
think so.
big source of drama in the Crucible community
is.
on Twitter right now. Like if you say like it's basically like everybody's like, is it cheating? Is it not? And some people are just die hard. It's cheating. get wrecked, no scrub, loser, and then everybody else is like, this is the only way I can play. Some people with disabilities need an option like this. And so it's this big source of contention. I'm not going to say whether there's a right or wrong on here, but
from personal experience, it definitely gives you an
drama.
advantage. Being able to mouse with aim assist is an advantage. But I also think that using like a scuff controller or an elite controller is a pretty big advantage. So like there's different levels of advantages that can be bought, and it's just
what's not an advantage, Briar? Being
that?
over 80 FPS in the raid.
Yes.
That's a disadvantage.
Yep.
Over 80. That's when the little cars that you get in to shoot you around, they don't work so good.
It is pretty funny though.
It is.
Getting shot out of a cannon.
I mean, this was a thing when Destiny 2 first came out on PC. Getting man cannoned and you'd get killed because your FPS was too high, right? I thought they had fixed this a long time ago. I was surprised to hear this come back up.
I think because it's a different system. Like the launch of it was not one of those man cannons that like sucks you in and makes you go to a specific location. This one is just like a physics shoot you off thing.
Yeah.
So I think maybe it works a little different in game, is what I'm guessing. That's how behaviorally, it looks. So I bet that's what it is. But yeah, the FPS stuff has been a problem for a long time, and we're even getting sniper damage like higher if you're running higher FPS as well, or doing more or less damage. There's all this crazy stuff.
Yeah,
worth it.
No, well,
honestly though, like ever since the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox 4 came out, I have no problem playing at 60 FPS. Like I think the game looks awesome at 60 FPS. 30 FPS. Yeah. Once I had switched over to PC, it was hard to go back to 30. But I had no problem in Destiny 1. I'd complain about it every once in a while, but it wasn't a problem.
Yep.
Should we talk about the update, the Crucible update, or should we talk about the story mission this week?
I think we should talk about the story first. Okay. I feel like, because that Crucible thing is going to take, who knows how long.
It's going to take a while.
The story's really interesting. I think people are going to want to know what we have to feel about it.
So this is a heads up, spoilers for this week's story.
Yeah.
Briar, if you want to mute us, Briar can maybe do a thumbs up. I like Briar's thumbs ups. When we're done with
when we're done, I'll do a thumbs up.
Give a signal.
Audibly.
He's actually saying, "Wait, don't listen yet." Wait.
Yeah. He's like, "No, start it off." And stop. Yep.
What did you guys think?
Well,
Amanda dead.
Yeah.
What?
Was there? Did it feel like there wasn't like a lot of lead up to this? Like Amanda's been in the story for a while.
Didn't feel like a lot of lead up.
It was. I thought it was like, oh, she's definitely gonna die as soon as I started watching, because there's a cutscene at the end of a story mission. I'm like, oh, this is not good for somebody.
There was a lot of focus on Amanda.
Yeah.
She got the ink block cutscene. Yeah.
And then she got blowed up at the end after saving Mithrax and the prisoners. But they didn't just blow her up. They like enveloped her in the explosion. Yeah. And I think the most graphic death we've ever seen in Destiny.
It was kind of beautiful in a way, like the way it was shot cool and animated. It looked really like cinematic. But I definitely was thrown for a loop. I thought it was going to be Mithrax because they kind of built him up to, like, with everything from previous seasons with Ido and the fact that Aramis was there and all the interaction that they've had. I thought this might be like a turning point for Aramis or something, just something to pull the story in one way or the other with those characters. I didn't really put it together with Amanda until it was happening. I was like, wait, what just happened? What? So I was very shocked.
Mylan's looking like he's about to drop a.
I don't know. It didn't quite sit right for me because I think Amanda's been this background character for so long and it has some decent lore, and we finally, obviously they just really introduced her and got us sucked into that storyline to kill her off, and it sort of feels like I think it would have been more impactful for me to be Mithrax, because we've had previous seasons with Mithrax and we've had this bit of a journey with Mithrax.
Do you think she just got killed off, or do you think this is the middle of the story about how she becomes a guardian?
Well, yeah, a lot of people have been saying they're setting her up to be a guardian, and I don't know how I feel about that either. It's sort of like I don't know. I'm very on the fence with this one. Like I on the back of Lightfall with the death of Rohan too. It just we went from like not killing anyone to just like no. They're dead. No, they're dead. No, kill them off. No, maybe we'll bring them back
too,
later.
right?
Rasputin, yeah.
Yeah.
Rasputin also. It's been a lot of deaths recently.
Yeah.
See,
And
Rasputin was done right, though. I thought. I think Rasputin was a
done
good. He's been around for a long
That's
time.
what
He's
makes
had
me think
multiple
this is
seasons.
the end, right? It's because to kill her off that quickly with so little lead up, it just doesn't feel like worth
So
it.
do you reckon it? So do you reckon it'll feel better if she comes back, or do you think it would cheapen it more if she comes back?
No, I think it's a cool story to like see the beginning of a Guardian, like from our perspective. I think that'd be really cool. Like, because she's like theoretically she comes back with none of her memories. So like, but we know her. So like, how's that interact? Obviously, the guy who shot Cade in the face, he loves her. So that'll be an interesting story. Like, I think there's a lot of cool stuff that you could do with a newly made Guardian that from somebody we didn't know or somebody that we've known. You know, I think it'd be really cool.
It is like
Hunter Vanguard.
What'd you say? Crow's the next Hunter Vanguard? Is that what you said? Not my Hunter.
No, they're setting up Amanda to be a Hunter Vanguard.
Yeah, I said they brought Crow back. Why not bring Amanda back? But
yeah,
I do think
it's interesting with their love story thing that's
Yeah.
going on, right? Because she's like, I hate you, and
with a good reason.
if she and then if she comes back, he's gonna be like, what do you say now? Feeling silly?
Yeah, you forgot about Cade. I'm not looking so bad now, am I? Remember how I killed your best friend? No? Good.
that dynamic between Crow and Amanda, because Amanda had all these problems with seeing Crow as a new person. She still saw him as Aldrin. That's like a lot of the beginning of this story is her getting over that and the back and forth of like, yes, I know you are, but I don't feel it. And it would be interesting to flip that on its head and have Amanda have to go through and like Crow to have to go through what Amanda felt of like her being a different person. And if Amanda came back, Crow might have feelings for her, but she's like a different character at that. Like she doesn't have all her memories, kind of the way that she struggled with Crow. And I kind of like that reversal. But at the same time, there's been so many like Crow getting resurrected and then Amanda getting resurrected. Like I don't want them to play that same card over and over again, because then it does become cheap. It does become like, okay, I don't believe that anybody's really ever dead. And I still, like, in a way, would rather Rasputin be the one to come back, even though Rasputin had a more finalized story. He's just such a cool character to have him make the ultimate sacrifice and then get resurrected as a guardian makes sense thematically. And Amanda did too, but, like, I don't know. It just fit Rasputin's storyline so well. But they can't do it for every character, so it's kind of like, it does feel like more finalized for all these characters because it feels cheap otherwise.
It is
Imagine
a
if
little
this
weird.
is just go on, Jay.
I was just gonna say it's a little weird to me how the beginning of the season, the story, we weren't sure if she was alive or dead, and it's like, oh, she's alive, and now she's dead again. You know, it's kind of weird to me.
She made it. No, she
Make
didn't.
up your mind.
It feels a bit weird. Yeah.
Like
I
I think
strange.
like this season, I'm like, oh my god, I'm so glad Amanda and Devram, like, these are such cool characters. Why is it taking 8 years to like get them a bit more screen time?
So fucking suave. It like hurts.
Yeah, I love Devram.
Devram's great. And
And Amanda's the
It's been a good
chaperone
story.
lady. Like she's the origin. Her story is intertwined with the origin story.
Remember when she shot Crow in the face? That was awesome.
That was awesome, actually. That was so funny.
I think you've probably convinced me. I want to see Amanda almost come back now. I think it might, if they do it right, they can probably redeem that storyline for her. I am interested to see the interaction with Crow and I guess the creation of a guardian. Oh, I guess we sort of got it with Crow though. So I don't know if we're retreading the same territory.
It's different
here.
with Crow because he killed Cade, right? It's like
True.
And he's like an outcast guardian. He's not like one of us. Also, I don't know. Amanda Holiday has been with us since the beginning. She's been our friend since the beginning, and there's a different weight to that to me. It's a
She's
similar
gonna come
story.
back
You're
as
right, but
the witness's first guardian.
Oh, that'd be sick.
That would actually be sick if she was a bad
Turned
guy.
dark.
And she's got
She
the
turned
chaperone.
Oh,
And we gotta fight her.
Oh, okay. So now, now
I
you got
like
me
this.
interested.
Ooh, spooky.
It was spooky. The bit that did get me though was Zavala at the funeral.
Yeah.
On the farm.
That was
actually
timing right
that was
there.
done really well. Yeah, yeah.
It was almost too much. Like,
Yeah.
given everything that's happened this week and that moment, I don't know, it just hit real hard. Like it already was so real, and then to see a portrayal of Lance right in front of you, that's rough. That's rough.
Yeah.
You don't know what's spooky? My thumbnail artist, a year ago to the day, did a image of Amanda Holiday in Zavala's armor as a Titan. On the day Amanda dies in the cutscene.
Wow.
And you see
Whoa.
Zavala at the funeral. How freaky is that? To the
That
day,
is
like
crazy.
a year ago
To
to
the
the
day,
day.
it's crazy.
Who's your artist?
J-Lo, he's a clairvoyant. J-Lo.
Oh, Jack writing in chat, Zavala having known her as a child too, watching her grow up, devastating. That's
Yeah,
pretty tough.
true, good
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see. We'll see where that goes. I'm kind of hoping now it's not the end of her storyline. And I'm kind of hoping she goes evil. I think that would be good.
That would be actually like
It was
kind
an
of the
evil
coolest
guardian.
storyline. I'm way on board with that.
Because we
Also,
sort
I'm
of
glad
had
she
that in
died
the
on
Awoken.
screen. Like I hate when people die in Destiny off screen,
Yeah,
and then you're
true.
like, "Oh, is this
True.
person actually dead or what?" Like,
Yeah. I'm going to say something that everyone's going to disagree with because I know my chat
You usually
disagrees with
do.
it. But
Okay.
I don't like how nice Marisov is. No,
Yeah, it's a little
I'm
weird,
not
right?
on board.
It is weird.
Yeah,
makes
everyone's
me
like, no,
suspicious
she's
of her.
changed. She's changed. No, I don't like it.
she doesn't
She was
change.
always
Every time
nice.
she's nice, I'm like,
what's she doing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Here we go.
why?
I felt that way for a long time until certain interactions that she's had with Crow. It's probably one of my favorite parts of this season is throughout the weekly or the seasonal activity missions. Sometimes you get to hear her and Crow go back and forth, and you hear the sting of Crow's words, and Mara always gets to a point where she can't respond because she's like, crap, he's right. Like, I've been that person. I have continued to be that person. And so now she's kind of biting her tongue. But I still feel uncomfortable. You can't not feel uncomfortable after all we've been through with her and be like, when are you gonna, pull the knife out from that you're hiding? Like, I know it's there.
Well, it's not even that. I just like I like her character as a scheming queen that you're not good enough to reveal plots to. Like she is playing the chess game at the big people table, and you're just a little goofy guardian running around. And I sort of like, like you can come to the adults table a bit later. You know what I mean? Like I don't. I like that character. She's not necessarily going to betray you, but she also ain't going to talk to you. And it feels weird for her to be like counseling you every week.
Yeah.
Like with the
It's not the counseling you part, it's the paying you respect part. You're like, wait.
Yeah.
This is very unlike you to do this. Because she says in one of the dialogues, she's like, I'm not doing this for the Vanguard. I'm doing this for the good of my people. Like I've never operated for the good of the light or the dark. I just do it for the Awoken. But at the same time, she's like, you're Queen's Guard. Only you could do this. You're the one I trusted. That you're like, really?
So if they're building up
on.
toward a moment where everybody comes together to fight the big bad evil, like at the end here, like we got the Cabal coming in, we got Mithrax and the not the Awoken, the blue guys, the Lixney coming in, like everybody's coming together, and she's got to be one of those people, right? She's got to be. It just, if that is what they're doing, it just feels a little clumsy, right? Like it's almost like an on-off switch. The last time we talked to her, she was, like you said, like scheming, not telling us everything, and now she's like, besties with us, and it just feels like an on-off switch.
While the Witch Queen stuff was happening and we were playing that seasonal stuff or story stuff with her, didn't she have like an extra Kara egg or something in like the background of that?
Yeah.
Or there's always like something shady going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
look, I brought this up with my chat, and everyone's like, Marlon, you're wrong, la 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 la. And then even some of the people that helped me write scripts were like, okay, here's all like the lore where she's changed and like she's gone through sort of a metamorphosis. And
yeah, but that's a cop out. When they do it in the lore and we don't see it on the screen, it's not the same, right?
I think so. I think I would have just liked I don't know, see a little bit more of how she's changed on screen. Because there is also other bits in the lore that she is like really critical of Crow and really manipulative of Crow, and especially like I think of season of Lost. That's still very much like it belongs to me.
Yeah.
Like don't let him leave the Awoken City. Like convincing Petrovenge to manipulate him and stuff like that. And that's sort of that's the queen I know.
Yeah, that's my queen.
That's my queen.
That's my queen.
Yeah, it is just on screen. It is a big shift from cold and calculated and manipulative, and I only do work for me, and I'm not going to share everything with you too. You are so good at your job. Look at you go. It's just a bit, it's just a bit of a.
It's like that really mean manager that like got shit done, but now it's like really nice. Everyone was like, "Are we getting fired?"
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah. Anything else?
Are we done with spoilers?
I think so.
Does Briar do the thumbs up? Thumbs up from.
We're good. Wait, no. Just kidding. Should we talk about the Crucible blog?
Let's do it. Let's dive in. Okay. So I'm going to summarize this thing quite a bit. We might take a few quotes out of here, but I'm not going to, read word for word these graphs or anything like that.
Thank you.
Because they bounce back and forth between stuff that is already in the game, like, hey, we've done this, and then they say like, okay, and we're doing this. So I'll kind of mention both a little bit. So first thing they get to, or just overview, they talk playlists, matchmaking, competitive, fireteam based matchmaking, Iron Banner, and then they go into the start of season 21, new changes with trials, and then new Crucible modes coming as well. And that's kind of how they end it off. So jumping straight in at the very beginning, they talk about how the map rotations have already changed, which I personally have just loved. I know we've talked about it on the show as well, just seeing all those maps that we love and seeing the ones we don't further down in the rotation actually makes it feel like they're listening to a lot of the feedback we've given about the state of the Crucible and what we enjoy and what we don't. So that right off the bat feels really nice.
Yeah, I love that because I always said that even if they change nothing else and they change the map rotation, having chaos among the very long laning slow games makes me just have more fun. So yeah, seeing those maps be weighted higher was very nice.
Yes, absolutely. And then after that, they talk about new changes coming to the playlist, which, so excited. Okay, so Clash is leaving Quick Play, first off.
Again.
And so,
goodbye. It just came.
Now we're just going to have Control only. It's going to be its own playlist, Control, same SBMM format. They're making some tweaks to that. I'll get into that in a second. But there's new playlist options and they're both connection-based matchmaking. So there are two rotators. One of the new rotators is called the Crucible Relentless Rotator. This one is Clash, Rift, and Zone Control. And then the other rotator is Crucible Party Rotator, which is Mayhem, Scorched, and Momentum Control. And the intention behind this is to make it to where no matter if you like playing in the Destiny sandbox that feels like the Destiny sandbox, you can always play the Crucible Relentless Rotator with Clash, Rift, and Zone Control. But if you like the more fun party stuff, change everything up, that's where they'll put in those kind of modes. And right now it'll be Mayhem, Scorched, and Momentum Control.
And there's no skill-based matchmaking in these? It's just connection.
All connection.
Wow, that's a big change.
Ooh.
Big change.
When's that happening?
So,
Did they say?
So this is mid-season 20.
Wow.
Very soon. This season.
Ooh. Okay, so with the whole Mayhem, like the party mode, is that like, do you get a choice, or if it's the week of party mode, you got to play party mode, or can you still get Control? And
95% sure it'll be a week long. It'll be that thing that week, so you know exactly what you're getting into. Which personally, I don't enjoy as much. I feel like the more variety in the Crucible, the better. But I understand, there's some people who, like, if Rift is up on the Crucible Relentless rotator, they're not going to want to play Rift, and so they'll just go play something else,
Yeah.
which is fine. At least there are options for if you want to play in the Destiny sandbox normal, you can do that in that rotator.
Well, and they have it tied to triumphs and stuff too. So if it's random,
Mm.
you'd be in there a
Yeah.
long time to try to get
Right.
certain things done.
See, I wish it wasn't tied to Triumph and it was just a big
Mhm.
mashup. And
Me
I
too.
would be fine. Like I said, I don't really
Hard to
go
play
into
with.
Mayhem, but you know what? I would play a Mayhem game every whatever. That's a bit of a
Yes.
palate cleanser. And you
Yeah,
can
you
then
have to
go
swing
into
around, bring Strand in there.
Yeah,
Just
do you know?
swing
And
around
then-
everywhere.
but I wouldn't go into. I don't really go into Mayhem to play 5 games of Mayhem.
Yeah.
There is another side to that I do see the point of, though. Like, for instance, I really
Yeah.
dislike Scorched. Like, I do not like, if I actively avoid it, and if I go in there, it's just to get the Triumph stuff done for this season, because it just doesn't feel anything like Destiny. There's no bit of Destiny other than your jump, that's really in there. And so
I don't
I'll
remember
play
what Scorched
Mayhem.
was. What was Scorched?
Cannons.
The cannons.
Oh,
Cannons,
right.
yeah.
Okay.
And yeah.
And so if I know that is the weekly thing, I can kind of avoid my time there, versus if it's rotating every, game that you get in, I might get in a Scorch game and immediately just like, nah, I'm out.
Yeah.
I want to play something else that's fun to me, because I love momentum control. It's like one of my favorite game modes. Mayhem's really fun for certain stuff. So I can see the appeal of both sides, but I am a big believer in variety.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
excited to see connection-based
stuff.
matchmaking. I don't know. It depends on how big the buttons are, because your average player is just gonna press the big button most of the time. They
Oh,
go
is that
just
not a
like
picture
in
of what it's going to look like?
So it is. It's kind of confusing because they
confusing.
did show it.
Yeah.
Where Trials of Osiris is on the picture, that's where the Relentless Rotator is going to go, and I have a feeling it's going to look like Crucible Labs, which would be a bummer.
Yeah.
Be
Yeah.
a bummer.
So that'll
Yeah, so we'll
that'll just be
see.
off when Trials of Osiris is on.
Yes. So that would
That
be
makes
the
sense.
next part, is they're rotating out. When Iron Banner's up, it will replace Control, because those are skill-based matchmaking playlists. Control will still be skill-based matchmaking. When Iron Banner's up, it will replace Control. And when Trials of Osiris is up, which we're going to jump into, but there are some changes to that, it will replace the connection-based Relentless Rotator.
We'll see if it ends up being the case where all the people who are in the connection-based matchmaking are the sweaty people who are not wanting to be in skill-based matchmaking,
Yeah.
so it ends up being sweaty anyway.
I don't think that'll be the case, though.
hope
Because
not.
I play Rift a lot right now, whenever,
Yeah.
especially beginning of last season when it was like not rotating, everything was Rift. I would jump into Rift to test weapons, because if I jumped into quick play, I could not test the weapons. It was like Immortal,
Right.
6 of the other team, Teraba. I'm getting supered all the time. I couldn't test anything to try out the new stuff I got. So I would just jump into Rift, and it was
Yeah.
pretty populated. I never had a problem with it feeling oppressive. It
good.
was just like a fun time. So that's what I'm hopeful for.
Yeah, hoping that the fact that it's different game modes from Control, people are like, I want to go and play, not just Control all the time. So hopefully.
Do you guys think that this balance overall is going to have a positive effect, more so than inserting new maps and all that stuff? Because I know the PvP community has really been vocal about, a lack of support in that. And it seems like if people are enjoying this tuning, it might help.
I will always say, for me personally, a new map will be great. Like, I would love new maps and returning maps, but if there's still these issues with so much of the core foundation of Crucible, then it ends up not really making a huge difference, because a new map, you can get used to it in like a week or something, and it's still nice to play the new map, and I would still love new maps, but yeah, I think the fixing the core and making the core more fun is what's gonna last the test of time for me.
Yeah. That's what I would echo as well. I think that the overwhelming cry on Twitter and Reddit is still going to be, we need new maps.
Yeah.
But the actual change to people wanting to play will be that play being fun and the kind of play that they want. And to me, that's nonsensical Destiny, where you're not trying as hard, because we've got plenty of places to try really hard to get loot. And whenever people are just having fun, which these playlists seem to promote, then I think that's going to change the way maybe the perspective on the Crucible is, along with all these other changes, which we'll get to here.
It's the final game before the podcast in Iron Banner. I finally had a lobby that had a lot of Strand in it. And this is very rare if you are in Crucible. Not many people use Strand because Strand is movement and a supplement to your gunplay. You can't just throw grenades and get a kill. It's just not going to happen. And it was the most fun I've had in a long, long, long time because it's just people zipping around with grapples and you're not getting blown up by a single ability. You're actually having people move around and you get into way more gunfights. And that was great. I would love
I
to
love
see
Strand.
more of that.
Love
Strand is
Strand,
super
Crucible.
fun. If I have a tangle up and if in my hand and I have a grapple and I'm in Crucible, I am throwing it and I'm grappling onto it. And I don't know where I'm going, but something fun is going to happen.
Seems like a lot of vertical gunplay as well. If everybody's
It's
kind of
so
up in
much
the air.
fun.
And the
So much
movement,
more
like the
gunplay.
way you can outflank people just with the grapple. Like I used Strand in all the Trials games I played. I was just zooming around. It had some good moments.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
really
frustrating
fun.
against the firebolts, but yeah, it's good. It's fun.
Exactly. Yeah. So I was like, oh my God, almost everyone is using Strand. They're literally just shooting me with their gun and like using a grapple sometimes. Like that's generally what you'll see for the most part.
I
That's
love the
great.
way you phrased it too. I'm gonna throw this and grapple onto it, and something fun's gonna happen because that's what it is. It's so much fun.
That's what I want to do.
Okay, well, moving on to the matchmaking stuff, which kind of affects a lot. They've got fire team matchmaking changes. They put a bunch of graphs in this section. If you want to go check it out, it's pretty. And there's more graphs in the competitive section as well. But basically, the current system is trying very hard to match you 6v6. And they feel like it's doing a good job of that, and that's why they've so quickly implemented it into so many places. Like, okay, we're in trials now, no more freelance Iron Banner. They feel like the system's doing a really good job, but there are a few like problem areas where it takes too long to match you in a 6v6, or it takes too long to match you in your certain fire team. And so I feel like the best way to convey what they're changing here is the example that they gave. So I'm just going to read that. And if there's another part that you feel, y'all feel like we need to dive into, we can. But the example they give here is if you're in a 6-person fire team with a weighted average skill of 150, and skill this is a predetermined thing that Bungie figures out for you. So if you're in a 6-person fire team with a weighted average skill of 150, the system may prefer a 4-person fire team paired with a duo with a weighted average skill of 200, as opposed to waiting for another 6-person fire team with a skill of 400. This should improve both match quality and matchmaking times for larger fire teams. So it's not going to try so hard to match you with a 6v6. They might mix it up a little bit and do a 4 and a 2 that are similar skill. So that's one change that they'll be making. And then the other change, and this one specifically for the skill-based matchmaking section, which is pretty exciting. I'm really interested to see how this plays out because it sounds really cool. They're changing it to where connection filters modified so that latency windows will be expanded at the slowest rate, and then skill windows will start tighter but can expand more quickly as needed. And so the way I would paraphrase this is they're going to not look for bad connections faster. They're going to start with a smaller skill bracket, like make it like really tight, your skill-based matchmaking, but expand that super fast versus your connection. Like they'll let the connection stay good and let the skill bracket that you're in expand faster. So that way you'll have, it just goes back to that. We want better quality games. And we'll start at the even matches, but if you need to match somebody that's not quite there, we'll do that so that you can have a better connection game. So that sounds super exciting to me too.
Yeah.
You know what? I just listened to all this. I just keep thinking, Bungie's just experimenting on how to get this perfect, so their next new IP PvP game is flawless.
Well,
like that's all.
I would be very surprised if their PvP game isn't dedicated servers. So all of this isn't gonna make any difference.
Really? Okay.
I don't think there's any way that they make a PvP only game with peer-to-peer. I don't think they're gonna do that.
Is all the top like PvP competitive games all dedicated servers?
Yes.
Okay.
The peer-to-peer stuff is really good in Destiny because it allows us to just drop in and drop out of strikes and raids, and that's what it allows us to do. It's super easy. You don't have to do any annoying stuff, but it's not as good for
Call of Duty
PvP.
still uses like a hybrid system, don't they? Where it's like some
Mm.
of
I
it
don't know
is
what they use.
server-based and some of it is peer-to-peer. I don't pay a whole lot of attention to Call of Duty anymore.
Yeah, I don't know
Last
enough
time
about
I was
it.
looking into it, it seemed like it was kind of like you could be on a server or you could be peer-to-peer, and you don't really know how to tell unless you just got bad lag.
Yeah,
That was
I
several
think
years
it
ago,
will be
maybe.
dedicated. I think it will be.
Let's hope so.
Yeah. Well, that whole conversation brings us to competitive because that is the ultimate skill-based matchmaking section here. And the part that, as I just want to say up front, is I and many others that I've talked to read it first time through, we kind of missed some big stuff in here. So I'm definitely going to make some emphasis on the parts that were pointed out to me that I was like, oh, that changes things for me. Because right now, I'm curious to hear y'all's take on it. But right now, for me, competitive is a place where I don't have any interest in playing because I feel like I'm just playing the same people all the time. It doesn't feel like I'm progressing. I do like a competitive environment, but there's no, even rewards or not, I'm somebody who would grind Rumble just to see my elo go up because it was fun to see how high I could get. But in this ranked setting, it's skill-based matchmaking the whole way, and I never feel like my games are getting better, and so there was no incentive for me to keep playing. And so that was my main gripe going in, and so I'll just go into the mid-season changes that they have in mind here for competitive. The main thing that they're doing is like putting in rewards. First of all, we don't have any rewards other than Rose, and so now they've got a new emblem for Ascendant 3 or higher and a stack tracker for comp rank and a transmat effect that looks incredible, that changes based off of the rank that you have in comp. If you haven't seen it,
I love that.
Gotta check it out.
That I was really happy to see that because the game that I think I put the most amount of time into before like Call of Duty and all of that with PvP was Guild Wars. And Guild Wars in one of their kind of ranked competitive environments had this emote that changed based on your rank. And everyone really wanted it. They wanted the top one because it looked super cool. It was like a big dragon that popped up. So seeing that, I was like, oh, that's the kind of stuff I want to see. We're getting there. We're definitely getting there. Because I think back to the, Trials of Osiris in D1 days, people weren't going flawless to get an adept weapon. They were going flawless to get new ornaments, to get a different kind of shader.
The Scarab emblem.
The Scarab emblem. It was all cosmetic stuff, and we were playing a lot of trials to get that cosmetic stuff. So we don't need these like adept weapons in there. We don't need artifice armor, cosmetics, and transmat. Good stuff.
Yeah, really good stuff. And then from there is one more reward coming next season. This is all mid-season stuff. There is a sniper rifle that's coming next season that will replace Rose. Rose won't be there anymore, but it's still not something you have to grind for. It's more so you just play 3 matches a week, you get a new one. So it's not based on if you win or lose. That's cool. Which is great. I'm glad that they're keeping
so not replacing Rose.
No, it is replacing Rose for that season.
Yeah.
Oh,
and then
when's this? Because I really need to work on getting.
You want to go into comp, Miley?
Yep.
Comp streams.
Comp. You know what? Oh, and before I forget, you know what we need to do? We should do the raid as a 3-man, 3 people, three guardian, because it's very possible.
Is it, Miley?
It is. It's possible.
Before
they buff Nezzy.
Yeah.
So they are bringing a sniper. Rose is going away. Rose will come back, they said. You'll be able to get it again later, just not next season. And then the big stuff, though, is they talk about skill versus rank, the things I was talking about earlier, where it feels like you're kind of fighting the same people all the time. They state how it works now, but then what they're looking to change is stated way later within a whole bunch of other bullet points. So I'm going to just talk about those 2 things real quick. So how it works now, competitive division matches players based on their skill, not their rank. This can feel counterintuitive, but matching purely based on rank can lead to a couple of bad side effects. So they talk about a few of those bad side effects, and it's, stuff like kind of cheating the system in different ways, basically. But it comes with the problem of you're always facing the same people. So what they're looking to change it with And this is the part that's buried in there. I'm just going to quote it exactly for what it says. If you are below your target division rank and have yet to reach it during the current season, we're looking to add some additional ranking adjustments as well as blend your current division rank with your skill for matchmaking purposes. So if you place below your target division, matches should be easier to win when you start your climb, and you should get more for each win. When I first read this, I thought it was just saying that you will get more points so that Bungie puts you in the rank you think you should be in, but that's not what it's saying here. It's saying for matchmaking purposes, it's going to look at the rank you're at and say, okay, like we see that you should be higher than this based on your skill level. We're going to actually start matching you in your rank rather than, okay, I'll give an example. If you're an Ascendant 3 player and you're starting off in Gold 3, you're going to play Ascendant players all the way till you get to Ascendant. Whereas now with this system that they're looking to implement, you would start playing Ascendant players, but the game sees like, oh, you should be an Ascendant level, but you're not. So I'm going to make you play your rank so that you quickly go through it up to get to where you're meant to be. So it actually feels like you would be climbing in ranks. Your games would get harder as you go, which right now it just feels the same as you go. So pretty huge change.
That is a big change because this was a big thing in Overwatch as well, because you had people who were diamond and they'd look at their team and they're like, I have a gold on my team. Why is that? And that's because they were trying to match based on the skill that they had for you. So it felt really bad being a gold player in diamond lobbies and being like, well, why am I here? I'm not diamond.
Yes.
You're putting me in these diamond lobbies and I'm like stuck in gold because I can't beat these people. So that felt really, really bad. It does not feel good to be, you're in silver, you're playing plat players, and you're not plat. You're playing hard games the entire way.
That makes sense. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They're just trying to, it feels counterintuitive to almost help you get to your rank, but because someone's going to lose against you, right? Like you're technically a high skill and you're in gold, but you should be in plat. So they're going to put you in gold, even though technically you're better than them, but this will help you get to your correct rank quicker.
Yes. And it's frustrating currently in the system because like I grinded up like 2 ranks above or whatever, and then when I did my placement matches this time, I got put in gold 3, and I was like, I just don't have any desire to do the exact same thing I did last season for no reason to, like, I don't feel any different about my games as I go up. It's not like my games are going to be easier now that I'm in gold 3. I'm going to play as if I was playing at the end of last season. I just have more work to do now. And I'm like, I would rather just go play Rumble or Iron Banner or Trials. It'd be so much more rewarding and fun and challenging, and I would feel myself improving. Whereas if I play it here, it's the same thing the whole time.
Okay.
I should note, this is something that they're looking to change. It is not explicitly stated when this is changing. It is placed within the talk of the mid-season 20 stuff, but they didn't say it was coming then. So I can't say when this is coming. It just says we're looking at changing it this way. So that I should make that point there, that don't expect it to be this way when you jump in this season. They are adding the Ascendant 3 emblem this season later on. So if you want to grind to it to get that cool emblem, do it. They are adding the Crucible transmat effect that shows your rank this mid-season, I think, as well. So all that stuff like will be awesome to get. And that transmat effect too, you get that at Silver 3. So even in the lower skill brackets, you can get it kind of right away. And then, show your progress every time you transmat in. It will show you that new rank.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I like the transmat. This is the first transmat that you can earn in game, and it's the first one that changes.
Yeah.
So very cool.
It looks awesome.
If this is successful and gets more people to play competitive, I'd love to see something like this for people that run raids regularly to help people through, have some kind of emblem or transmat or like just a cosmetic just to motivate, it, because Guardian or guided games wasn't really all that popular and stuff. And they're trying to figure out why, like just a cosmetic, something, get people motivated to help. I don't know.
I'd be totally down for that as a Crucible player. I'd want to see this stuff go to PvE too. That sounds awesome.
Definitely.
I mean, we get enough. I'm not trying to say we don't. I'm just saying that one specific thing.
It's very cool though. If y'all check it out, you'll see what I'm talking about. It looks very cool. From Comp, We got Iron Banner stuff. They talk about fire team matchmaking again, and they just basically say it's going well. They're implementing all these changes that we just talked about to matchmaking future stuff for Iron Banner, but they're basically satisfied with where the matchmaking has lined up. The one thing that stuck out to me here is they do want to move away from the whole idea of completing matches as specific subclasses to earn a pinnacle. They would rather you like play, and just have fun, but they don't have a solution for that yet, they said, but it's on their radar, which was encouraging.
I wonder why. Why is that?
Yeah, why not just play games and you get, with the games you play, you get the challenges done? Because I hate seeing any restrictions on Crucible where it's like, you must play this. That's how we got Bubbles overload in Fortress mode last season. So,
and I was not super stoked to see Solar be one of the things for this Iron Banner. It's the same thing again.
Firebolts.
Yep.
So yeah, I'm glad it's on the radar at least. And then moving on to the big stuff. This is probably for what everyone is most excited about. Start of season 21. Trials has some massive changes. Trials of Osiris. They talk about the fire team based matchmaking going well there too. But the big thing is they're making 2 new matchmaking pools and kind of scratching the way that Trials works currently and making a whole new way. So the new way is they're getting rid of the flawless pool, first of all, and their goals for everything throughout here is they want to allow players to play with their friends without worrying about flawless.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Huge win.
Thank God.
Remove the motivation to reset cards to farm or carry. Huge. And then better protect players who are struggling to find success. Really good goals here. And so what they're to do this is how they're doing it. So they're making these 2 matchmaking pools. You got the challenger pool and the practice pool. In the challenger pool, you get in this pool by the whole thing is based purely on connection. No more card-based matchmaking. It's all connection-based. So it doesn't get more difficult as the card progresses.
Okay.
Players who have any card with no losses will be in this pool, or playing with someone who has no losses. So like if there's people carrying and say they're resetting their cards, but the person they're carrying has no losses, they'll still be in the challenger pool. There is no stay out of the flawless pool or anything like that. You will get put in the challenger pool. So that's one pool. And then the other pool is the practice pool, which is targeted at new or less experienced players. Matchmaking is connection just the same, but it's also weekly performance. So it mixes the two, like it prioritizes connection, of course, but it takes into account your weekly performance. So if you're not doing good in trials in your first 2 games, it will keep you, like it will slowly match you with players that you're more able to compete against in this practice pool. To be in the practice pool, you have to have a flawed card or be on your first game. And within that, there's stomp protection. So if you're always struggling, it will, with that weekly performance, continue to match you lower. And then there's also farming protection. So if it sees you in there farming, you're resetting, playing on that first thing, it's like, okay, I see you. Matchmaking starts actually making your matchmaking times last longer. So it takes you longer to get in. And then finally, if you keep doing it, it locks you into the challenger pool and you're banned basically from the practice pool for the rest of the weekend.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bravo,
I was going to
Bungie.
say, I almost thought that the practice pool was where you're meant to go farm. Like that's what if you had a flawed card, but as a non-good player, I could farm in there because I'm not going to be technically farming in Bungie's eyes. I might be getting a win every couple games rather than every game. It's just if you're like literally stomping everyone and farming, that it's going to make it harder for you.
Yeah.
How
It's
does
like,
this... No, go ahead.
Go ahead, Watts. It's okay.
I was gonna ask, how do you think this looks for kind of your average type of player who wins some, loses some, can go flawless sometimes? How does it kind of look for them and which pools they're gonna land in?
I think that everyone's going to kind of start in the practice pool because you'll be you won't have any wins. So that's where you'll be.
Yeah.
And then as you move into the challenger pool, I think it will be, I think it's going to go both ways. You're going to not have to worry about people stomping you at the beginning with the trials resetters, and you're not going to have to worry being shut out of the lighthouse on your last win as often, because that's normally when your hope is just destroyed. That's not really going to happen anymore. It's just going to happen at some point during your card. And then on top of all of this, Bungie's also changing the passages so that Mercy gives you 2 losses on your forgiveness card.
Yeah, that is very good.
So I think for the average player, there's a lot more opportunity to not just, like, maybe the games might be harder because it's like throughout and not easier to harder, but you're going to have more opportunity to not just get shut down at the very end at the lighthouse. Because a lot of times what happens is you're with a team and you're not the best team, but like you're rolling through it and you really push through, and then you have your Mercy is there. You've got it on standby. You get to that last game and you get shut down hard at the gates. You're like, that's okay, we got our Mercy. And then you face the same team again or something like that, and that's so disheartening, and that keeps people from playing. Yeah, it happens all the time. And so now that won't happen anymore.
It will
be connection
I
based, which is interesting as well. It's not like you said, it's not gonna be, okay, this is the lighthouse game. We know that these people are probably really, really good. We have no chance, maybe. It does give you a bit more of a chance.
Because it is those first 2 games and the last game that it's always, difficult. You just sort of cruise through on the middle games, and then it really ramps up as you get to match 7. So this does seem like it addresses that. Everyone's in the practice ball in their first game, right? And then hopefully you're off and running, and then you're in the, what's it called? What's the
challenger
big,
pool?
The big person pool, the challenger pool, the deep end.
It's almost like you want to call it starter pool and like your card pool, but you can't really call it that, because there are people who just flawless is not in the cards for them. Like maybe I'm not really looking to go flawless. I'm just looking to earn rep to be able to get the new weapons, which that's the other new passage they introduced, wealth, extra trials rank every win, which already exists, but then the amount will increase every trials rank you go up. So incentivizing you as you go higher, you get more rep. So if you're in that practice pool with a wealth card, you can kind of stay there and continue to get rep. Even if you have a loss, you still have a good chance of getting that weapon, and you're incentivized to stay there because there's stomp protection. The games are going to get easier for you or get more within your skill level the more you play, and you keep getting more rep if you're running that wealth card. So there's options now for players who just had no chance before. Now they can go in and grind, like you were saying, grinding the practice pool. You can kind of do that if you don't have the skill level to be in the challenger pool.
It will be interesting. They're quoting trials in D1, which I actually played a lot of trials in D1, like before I started streaming and stuff. And the only thing that I'm interested to see is some weeks it felt like you got lucky with who you got matched against and you could like get flaws fairly easy. And then other weeks I'd spend 25 to 30 hours over the course of a weekend just trying to get flawless once. And I'm an average player, like right at 1.0 in trials. I'm like a 1.5 in normal PvP. But if it kind of takes that luck of the draw, it can be a little frustrating because it can be just so different week to week. So it'll be interesting to see how that translates to D2.
Yeah, I'm hoping that double forgiveness, that 2 losses, will help for that kind of experience. For that, just like, we just had bad luck with who we faced.
True.
Because I agree that can be frustrating, and I'm hoping between the 2 pools, the new passages, that there is more opportunity for a good time for everyone there and a more rewarding time. And speaking of rewarding, they're also adding. Changing the way Gilded Flawless works. They said they want a better reward dedication, both as solo and a team. They mentioned making it more in line with Gilded Glorious, but I'm not completely sure what that's going to entail. But they are also adding a new Flawless emblem, which they say, quote, rewarded for going flawless without ever trailing in any of your wins. So I'm not... And I wanted to ask you guys what you thought that meant, because to me it reminds me of the Scarab emblem, but maybe that just means something about going flawless in general. I'm not really sure how to get that.
I don't know. I've been distracted by chat.
But yeah, lots of options. Adding more loot to chase, adding more skill protection basically to that practice pool, connection based stuff. A lot of people have really missed the D1 experience. I know there were problems with it, so they're trying to kind of address those at the same time. But the main thing for me, the biggest takeaway out of everything is allowing players to play with friends without worrying about flawless.
Yeah.
Because I just so many times a friend Saturday night, I went flawless Friday and then Sunday they hit me up and they're like, "Hey Lego, what you doing?" Like sorry, flawless, and then I don't talk to them for the next 2 days because you're grinding out SMGs.
That's why
help,
Mylan had to come play with us on Friday in between baby naps because I'm like, I mean, Sunday, Monday, I'm going to be in the flawless pool, so we need to get it done now.
Yeah, but then you were already in the bloody flawless pool by the time I got on.
Mylan, it doesn't happen until Sunday.
I'll copy that.
But it was odd. You did it to me anyway.
No, right. Yeah, but you already got your god roll. That's what I was thinking of. You'd already got your you actually didn't really need to play anymore. You'd already got what you wanted.
I did have the dynamic sway, tap the trigger, kill clip one, which is a very, very good one.
Yeah.
Well, any more thoughts on Trials? I'm pumped to play with friends again.
These were definitely my favorite changes out of the whole Crucible blog. Like it seems to be a lot more approachable, I think. For a lot more people. You can play with more people at any point of time. The flawless pool has just been pain for a while. I'm excited for that not to be there. Because also, like, the difference between the challenger pool and the flawless pool is a huge difference, right? Because flawless, you have to have got 7 wins in a row, no losing, besides your mercy. Challenger pool is like, if you're just kind of winning, there's going to be people that are in there. So it's going to be a much bigger variety of players in the challenger pool.
So what about the new game modes? You're not excited about that, Watts?
I am. Yeah. I'm looking for. I always like new game modes. Yeah. I hope they're good.
More Lego.
Yeah, good transition into that. I do want to make one point here with the splitting up the pools that by getting rid of card-based matchmaking, you're getting rid of like 8 or 9 pools. Because that's like, true. They're trying to match you based off of where you are on the card. Also, whether you're flawless or not, depending on what day of the week. That's so many different pools to have people in. So it should be much more fluid. Okay, new modes. We got Countdown and Checkmate are the 2 new ones. Countdown, is a returning one, but with it, so if you didn't play the beginning of D2, Countdown was the classic competitive mode where it was 4v4 back then, but now it's gonna have a bomb that you have to plant. There's an attacker and a defender. Search and destroy. That's what it is. Yeah. 35 seconds to defuse. Now that's the basic version. It plays like a limb where you have only those lives. So if you killed the other people on the other team, you just automatically win that round. But there's new versions of it, Countdown Respawn, where there's no elimination rules and respawns are 7 seconds, and it has res tokens. So you can res someone right there, but otherwise they respawn 7 seconds. So it's like time-based mode. And then there's a third one, Countdown Rush, which kind of sounds exciting to me, is multiple charges per round and how many can you detonate within that round. It still has a 7-second respawn and res tokens as well.
That sounds fun, actually.
What it reminds me of
trying to plant bombs.
The tiebreaker in Rift. Have y'all ever gotten to that point where you tie in Rift and it has the 3 things you need to dunk and it's just chaos? I hope it's like that. That's what I hope.
You like chaos. I do enjoy chaos.
Interesting. A lot. I mean, I'm interested in how you think, what's your predictions on this game mode? Love or hate from the community?
I think they're going to like it. I think.
Does this work in Destiny?
I think the Rush one works more than any of the others.
Cat butt.
Yeah.
I think the Rush mode works in normal Crucible, but Respawn Classic, if that goes into like Trials or competitive, it could work. I think if people like a limb, Countdown is, I've heard a lot of people miss it, enjoyed it. I kind of miss it too. That was a really difficult time to play Destiny whenever, your special weapons were actually heavy weapons. And I just want to see that mode now, and it's going to play out completely differently. So whatever you thought about the mode before, it's probably going to even feel different than you remember it.
Yeah, definitely. The game has changed a lot since then. So it's going to be very different.
I think people will enjoy it in the beginning because it's something new. like because people have been clamoring for new stuff in PvP. And then I think after a few months, when people get bored of it, and they'll just go back to what they've been
Then
playing.
they'll start complaining again.
I didn't say that.
And
Okay.
then we had the checkmate.
Yeah. So this one says slower pace experience, power spikes are earned. Include that, and those include special ammo, ability recharge rates, weapon time to kill, player health, and they expect a significant shift from the core experience. On top of all of this, this new mode is a modifier, just like a Nightfall modifier, which means they can add it to other game modes throughout Destiny.
That's very
That's
interesting.
cool.
Being able to add it. Yeah, that's very
I'm
interesting.
interested to see how this plays out because I actually
Yeah.
said something very similar on stream. I was like, what would happen if you just got like you just give everyone gunplay, just see what happens, and then like now it's this mode which is I guess
It's
heavily weighted to
kinda-
more gunplay.
I'm interested to see exactly what they mean because they have, like you said, special ammo listed here, ability recharge, weapon time to kill. So I guess I guess it would be kill clip because you earn kill clip.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
I don't know if it's I'm not really sure what that and player health. Like, do you just not get health back? Do you have to maybe run over to the place where you killed the person to get health back? Is it a slower reach? I don't know what
I don't know. I assumed
ends
that
up
just
being.
meant players had more health.
That's what I kind of thought too. But
It could be.
I like Watts' idea though.
it could
That
be.
sounds really interesting because momentum control is, if you've played momentum, it's kind of like the no abilities weapon. It's more like what's the Halo SWAT? It's like SWAT where nobody has any shields. They die super fast. If you can one tap someone with a hand cannon if you're using it right, and so it that kind of has that experience. Your abilities come back super slow, so that takes. I want to see that as a modifier in the future. But checkmate, this weapon TTK and player health thing. It's either they're super chunky or something like Watt said, where you gotta go. It's limited.
Yeah, it's I would assume that if they're going something in this kind of way, it's going to be less special ammo. The time to kill is going to be higher. Abilities are going to recharge slower, and
Yeah.
health pools are maybe going to be bigger. I would assume
Yeah.
it would be a larger health pool.
Yeah.
Which would be very interesting. And I also I'm very curious about how power spikes are earned because that sounds very like kill streaky, right? Like if you're
Right.
really doing well, or even not even doing well, but if you're actually engaging in the gunplay, you're not just sitting in the back. Like you have to actively be playing. Those modes tend to be faster paced. I know it says that it's going to be a slower paced experience, but if they could make it to where you have to actively be engaged in gunplay in the Crucible and with this modifier, I think that would be fun. You don't want people to slow down because they have no abilities. They can't like one shot people, so they all just sit in the back and team shot.
Yeah.
You don't want that.
I think
The
the
thing is,
idea.
I think. Go on, Jay.
I was just gonna say, I think the idea of modifiers in Crucible game modes that we have is pretty fun. Just screwing around with different game modes that have gotten stale potentially, and I think that opens the door for that.
I think it's worth trying to see how this goes because
Definitely.
that's what people have been asking for is less ability spam, and it's like a nice way to test that, I guess. I see a little bit of comments in the chat. Like I think certain perks will probably be highlighted more if players are actually chunkier. Like all of a sudden your kill clips are probably like really important, and your target locks are really important. If you're gonna have to be sitting on a player's head for a little bit longer. Lol. Maybe it will bring a little bit more importance to weapon perks that reduce kill time.
Yeah.
Excited to try it.
Yeah.
Very curious.
That
Very
wraps it
curious.
up for the Crucible blog.
What do you guys think overall?
I mean, as a non-Crucible player, it sounds pretty good. I'll reserve jump in.
yeah, it seems encouraging, but it's hard to tell.
It's very hard to tell how, especially matchmaking stuff, it feels, right? It's very hard to tell. But yeah, this overall seems like, so first of all, we're getting rewards in comp. Like that's great. Having an emblem, having the ability to display your rank, and having the transmat effect is very, very nice. Having that rotating playlist with connection-based matchmaking as an option that is there for people is going to be very nice. And it's not just Rift, because normally it's like, he can go in Rift for connection-based matchmaking. This is going to have zone control. I love zone control. Yeah, and the trials changes. The trials sounds really good. It sounds a lot more reasonable. The flawless pool, I've never liked it.
Yeah. I really feel like every single part of this hit an area that I struggled with in the Crucible and made me more excited to play more Crucible in every part of it, which hasn't happened in a very long time. And like you were saying with Rift, that was the only place you could go. And sometimes it was rotated out with Mayhem or Momentum Control, and I couldn't play Destiny as it's presented as Destiny. And now I can always do that. So that's great. And then the changes to SBMM sound better, that it's focused on connection more instead of throwing that out the window before skill. Love the trials changes, and I actually want to play comp again, which I haven't wanted to play comp since they took out comp rewards, specific for winning. So
yeah, all sounds good.
Good.
Anything in the TWAB we want to talk about?
The TWAB, there was, of course, something written about Lance in there, which was very sad to read. But I think what they wrote in here, I think there is something notable in terms of how they're going to be going forward with Zavala's story. It doesn't say it exactly, but they did say that they are going to, I can't find the exact quote, but it was basically that they're going to have him tell the stories that he's already recorded. It was a TLDR. Which I was really hoping that they would do, as long as his family is okay with that and everyone's okay with it, that we still get to see the work that he's done for Destiny that's not been released yet.
I know it's a little crass to be thinking about it already, but I do wonder what they'll do to, like, will they just like
I don't think they'll replace him.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like he could, right? So do they like kill off his character? Like, how do you handle
I think they might write off his character. Yeah.
Like a Princess Leia situation potentially.
Maybe he just leaves.
Yeah.
He could just leave. But
it's tough.
Yeah, it is. Just have Zavala resign. I mean, to be honest, his character was going in the direction of leaving the Vanguard anyway.
It was,
I wouldn't be surprised. Like, they've been hinting at dissolving the Vanguard for ages now. That was whole, like, Akora's and Zavala's thing is, like, after Cade went, they sort of fell apart a bit and lost a lot of confidence, and
we're so close to the
I wouldn't
end
be surprised
anyway.
if they already planned for him to leave.
In the background at this point.
What's that?
We're so close to the end anyway, they could just have him standing in the background, probably.
It'd be such a focal point from the player's perspective, though, knowing what has happened, that I feel like they would have to either have him there intentionally or not have him there at all, one way or the other. I hate even thinking about it, but that's probably the way it's going to have to be, because we're so affected by this. The whole player base is obviously affected by it. Bungie's very aware of that. I feel like they've got to be really intentional with where they place him.
Yeah, I hope they take a while to think about it.
I think the only thing that I really, really want to happen is, whatever he has recorded so far, that we get to hear it, that we get to see it. And that it's just presented in the way that it was recorded, like not try and change it around to make it make sense with what they have planned for the future, but I just want to see what he has recorded. I just want to see it.
Fair.
That's gonna be hard to hear that.
Yes, it is. It's gonna be hard. It's hard playing Destiny, honestly.
Yeah.
Anything like PvE involved is I find it tough at the moment.
Same.
They do talk about Master Raid, which is coming next week. The Master Raid is coming. And there are a couple of changes that are coming to Master. So you're getting challenges and you're getting Master difficulty. So if you do it on normal difficulty and you do the challenges, you get extra rewards. If you do Master difficulty and you, of course, do the challenge, you get the Adept Raid weapon. Now, it does say here, this is something that is different, but enhancing Master Root of Nightmares Adept weapons will be possible, allowing the traits that rolled on the weapons to be upgraded. To me, this does sound like power creep. A plain and pure example of power creep. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. And then they also do say that it's not going to be available right away when Master comes out. You're not going to be able to get those Master Adept raid weapons and immediately enhance them. But the ones that you do earn, say next week, you will be able to enhance those whenever it becomes available.
Is there anything weapons wise that y'all? Because I know Adept and enhanced perks. Like, are they worth getting? Is there anything from an Adept weapon that y'all are like, I want this weapon Adept because blank? Because I have a hard time finding, like, I want to go after this for this or that reason.
I would like the sidearm just because I really like the sidearm. So having it be, a little bit more juiced up.
Right. A little bit extra stats, that'll
yeah.
do it. Okay.
Yeah.
I like the weapon they named after me, so I'd like the Adept version.
That was actually the one that I was going to say, because that is the only weapon that the Adept mods you can put on it makes a huge difference, because you can put Adept charge time on, I believe you can put that on a linear fusion. You can for sure put it on a regular fusion, so I'd assume a linear fusion. And an Adept charge time doesn't take away your damage, it just makes it faster. Would be potentially worth using.
I imagine for the majority of the player base that are going to jump into this, it's just to have an extra slot, just to have it. It's like having something to chase just for the sake of chasing it, like the grenade launcher and GMs a few weeks ago and stuff like that. Like, people just like knowing that it's the best version of that weapon, the definitive version.
Yeah.
Adept big ones, of course. The ease of use.
Adept big ones, yeah. And then they go on to talk about Nezarec and the raid difficulty, which has never happened before with something like this.
This is all new to me. I haven't had time to read the 12.
So, first thing they talk about is Nezarec's behavior, and that he doesn't always respond to players when they're standing in a well of radiance. In a future update, we will be updating this behavior, which in turn should make Nezarec feel more like the final god of pain. So he wasn't reacting properly to people in the well, maybe because they smell a pee-pee. I get it, Nezzy. You don't want to get
Wow, they're gonna change it. I'm surprised by that.
Yeah, I mean, they go on to say that it's our philosophy to avoid making dramatic tuning changes to an activity once it's live. We feel it better to address the responsiveness of the boss and accept that it may alter current strategies and increase the level of challenge. So, yeah, it's definitely, they say it's not something they normally want to do. The roaming DPS strikes again.
I was trying to think of when the last time they tuned a raid boss was, and people on Twitter, I think, were mentioning D1. They tuned a couple of bosses, but
they
it was
definitely
more
did
like
it in Fall to Glass, right?
Well, because it was like the people were glitching it, right? They were throwing the nades and stuff. But
did they do it with Crota at some point? But that might have been just fixing glitches too.
That would have been unplugging the internet, guys.
Yeah. You can't turn him off anymore with your internet cable.
Yeah,
but they've never changed the way an encounter works. Like, this is going to change the strat completely. Pretty interesting.
They left Riven. I mean,
they did.
So that's why I was like, I don't think they're going to change this because they left Riven. But
I didn't think so. Yeah. So I guess he was supposed to be more aggressive with people who were just, standing around. That's what it seemed like when me and Mylan did it with our team. It really did feel like you weren't supposed to be able to just stand still against him. I mean, he's diving on you, he's suppressing you, he just didn't seem like it made any sense. So
it's gonna be a rock situation, I think.
So if you're all standing on a platform now, he's just gonna get in the air and just go.
I hope
gonna go flying.
Yeah,
I hope so.
Yeah, that's how it should
That'd
be.
Fun.
Maybe we'll have a what was the Rise of Iron raid where everyone was using swords?
Wrath of the Machine.
Yeah. Maybe we'll have that kind of thing. Everybody put down bubbles. If he tries to knock you away, just sword back to him in the bubble.
That was so fun. That was so fun.
That is a fun raid. That's another pretty short raid for World's First. That was another short one, but really fun.
It might be coming out soon.
It could be
in less than 6 months from now.
I loved Wrath. And actually, this is part of the story that they shared about Lance, was him playing Wrath of the Machine with Bungie devs as a warlock. Yeah, and
what
he was. Yeah, he was a warlock main. Although recently he's been a Titan main.
Okay. All is right with
But
the world.
yeah, that he kind of saved their raid in Wrath of the Machine, which was a really great story.
Fun
But
memory.
I love
Cool.
Wrath. I think Wrath is great.
Yeah, Wrath.
I hope
the
this
first
one
redo
feels.
of Crota with the sword smashing over the bridge, that was super fun too.
I hope the change to this raid makes it feel more like Wrath, like makes it feel a little more action packed. I know it can be a bummer. Everybody's trying to get their weapons to craft and get the fast clears, but this could actually make it more memorable and fun and kind of hilarious if he's knocking us all over the place.
Yeah,
time.
I hope so.
Yep.
The other thing they're addressing is the jump pads that can be found throughout Brood of Nightmares, specifically in the second encounter. The jump pads are a tool to help players cross large areas while allowing players to use Strand if they'd like to circumvent the jump pads. We've noticed that players with higher frame rates, usually above 80 FPS but not below 60 FPS, could be unintentionally killed or almost killed by using the jump pads. So they're investigating it, and they're gonna do a patch to fix it.
As a non-day one raider this time around, I find it hilarious when I'm doing the running and I just get shot out. Either you get shot straight down or you get shot out at 1,000 miles an hour.
Yeah.
I've like hit 2 walls and immediately died. It's funny, it's a little frustrating, I understand, but I crack up every time.
Or you get shot to like
Yeah.
the very top of the encounter when you're
Yeah,
just trying to
you
go
go on the
up.
floor, you're like
Or the bottom, you got to strand your way back up.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I sort of agree with Jay. I think it's funny like post day one raid. I think during day one raid it may be a bit frustrating, but
Yeah.
like every time I've done that now, I'd literally just put on a sword and strand and like boots and just like if it shoots me down, I strand back up. If it shoots me at like 100 miles an hour, I have to sword so I don't splatter on the wall, and then just work your way around it. But that's good. It's not intended to kill you because you got higher frame rates.
The next bit is about just the quick note about Guardian rank updates. They said they were going to do this, but they're moving the Legend Lost Sector Guardian rank objectives from rank 7 to rank 8, and then the Master Lost Sector Guardian rank objectives from rank 9 to 10. So
Still not gonna do it.
now I just need bow kills. I just gotta use the bow.
Me too.
You
know what? I need to do it for the loadouts.
That's a good point. Yeah.
That is true.
That is
worth
true.
doing.
Yeah. And that is about it. All of the art this week, movie of this week, is all dedicated to Lance. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Ando's Dan on Twitter copied Lance's loadout from the night he was playing Destiny and finished the mission against Callus with his loadout. So that one movie of the week as well.
Nice. Very nice.
I can't think about that. It's too
yeah,
much.
I can't hang on it for too long because I have cried a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Did we want to cover the hotfix patch?
Sure.
Fuck no.
Yeah.
There wasn't a lot there. The funny thing that I thought was worth mentioning is that they're going to nerf the Cabal Thresher damage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Because it's unintended.
Was that? Did they say it was frame rate related too, or was it just doing crazy damage sometimes?
Yeah, I just think it was higher. I think it was affecting everybody, to be honest.
Right. They are annoying. Especially that one in whatever is it the seasonal activity, and like you get the chest to drop and it does one final shot before it goes away. Or like I'm sitting there looking at my loot and dead.
And then I found on Reddit actually somebody said that ghost armor mods are working now, even though it wasn't in the hot patch. I found that interesting. I haven't tried them myself yet, but
interesting.
There's armor mods specifically for the ghosts that will help anybody that's trying to make builds and stuff. So
I need to look at that.
Yeah, I totally forgot about
that.
Let me see.
Apparently
So because even on Twitter, the Destiny 2 team said weapon mod availability was fixed in today's hotfix, but the fix for ghost mod availability is more complicated.
Okay.
So it's interesting to hear
what's the
that
issue?
things have been fixed.
I was going off Reddit, so maybe Reddit lied to me.
There's an activity mod socket on your Ghost, and it just shows it's locked right now.
Oh.
Oh,
you're
so that's
okay.
okay.
that's okay.
Reddit.
Got me again, bastards. You want to do some Twitter questions?
Copy that.
Yep.
If we just don't answer, Brian is like,
I'm just gonna start reading them.
Quick question.
Spade says, "G'day guys. As someone who has terrible aim and is just too old and don't have enough time to get good, what Titan build and weapons do you suggest? P.S. Get a VB long neck up ya.
Long neck.
Maybe long, big and long neck.
Long neck.
Maybe long neck.
Is that a beer? What is that?
Yeah, VB's a beer and long neck. I don't know what you call them. They're like the big, the ones
Glass
you'd get in a
bottle.
paper bag, big brown bottle. You know,
Okay.
like a
22.
liter of beer. I don't know what
Like
you
a
call
40?
them in the US.
Mhm.
Yeah, the big ones, long neck.
What's a good Titan build?
Time.
What for PVE or for PvP? What are we talking?
He
I
said
don't know.
get good.
Yeah,
which
get
sounds
good
like
makes me
PvP
think
to me.
PvP.
But you could also be getting good in PvE.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the best old man build Titan is just throw hammers. You don't have to aim at
Yep.
all.
That's super fun.
Just literally go and
It's
punch
just
everything. So that's
the sound it makes. It's just so good.
yeah. Just
Yeah.
put Synthoceps on and use baby bonk hammers and just go to town. So that's
Yep.
PvE done. With healing nades, just so when you miss your hammer, inevitably you can throw a healing nade down and get out of there. And then what are we doing for PvP? Who's Titan here? Is it just me?
No, I mained a Titan for a long time in Destiny. If you're running PvP, I mean, and you just want to win and not think about anything, then just put on Peregrine Greaves and go with a shoulder charge build. It's like
Nice.
turn your brain off.
So toxic.
Put on a
I love it.
shotgun. It's so
have been
it's
hanging
so
Get
around
that
with
easy.
Wilson.
shield in front of you. You'll
So
get headshot.
easy.
Nothing will happen.
Stereotypical Titan build.
Well, here's the deal.
Yeah.
This is what you need to do. You need to find weapons that have swashbuckler now, and then go use that, and then break everything. Because swashbuckler ×5 will activate every time you get a shoulder charge, and then you just do a ton of damage. It's a ton of fun. But then also the new strand stuff is really fun for Titan using the exotic that came with this season. It shoots out those 3 waves that suspends people. So try that out too, because you can play really defensively with that. It's really fun.
I've been having
Have
a
you
lot of
used
success with that.
With Capri's Horn.
Oh, with the double wave. No, I haven't. I've heard about it.
Yeah, it's if I was a Titan, that was 100% what I would use, because you are using Strand Titan, you're sending out the wave from your barricade, you're suspending them, and you're like doing some damage to them with Capri's Horn, and they just have to tickle them and they die.
It's
That
good.
sounds really funny, and I'm gonna have to try that. I'm gonna have to make a Titan and try it. Gonna have to do it.
I mean, there's a lot of Arc Titans at the moment. Like, I don't.
Yes.
I feel like Juggernaut is stronger. Did they change something to Juggernaut? Like, I feel
They
like
did,
I'm being pushed by Juggernaut, and they feel like I can't quite deal with them as well. I don't know if something happens.
There's new fragments for all the light abilities. I can't remember if
Maybe
there was
it was a
one
fragment.
that was
When did they
changed,
change
but it was
Juggernaut?
already
Maybe that
really
was a while ago.
strong. It was already really strong. I think that's the case. Is it's just all when everything gets tweaked and new stuff comes out, the old stuff that was strong just gets stronger. It's just nobody's using
Right.
it. Like Invis Hunter is. I had a higher KD than I've had. Since I can remember when this weekend in trials, and I was just using the same old Invis stuff.
I can't. The problem
Wow.
is I can't see them. That's the only fix you need to do for invis. Is there's
Mate,
certain maps where I'm
they
literally
agree,
like
actually.
shooting them, and I'm like, oh, they're gone, disappeared.
I'm with
Yeah.
you. I use it, but I'm with you.
That's why it says Invis.
But it wasn't like that before, Brian. I could see them before
wasn't Invis
3.0
before.
happened.
Robbie says, would you like to see a return of Arms Day from Destiny 1 where you could order specific Suros, Haki, and Omelan weapons from Banshee every week?
I hardly see Banshee. The only time I go to Banshee is pick up infusion fuel.
Yeah.
He kind of plays somewhat of that role, right? Because he is bringing new weapons every week for you to buy.
Mm-hmm. They need to, what I would like to see is for them, because I really like that there's this just changed where he has daily different weapons and then weekly different weapons. I didn't realize that they're changing out now, the roles on them. So sometimes the Farewell Splicer, see the Splicer sidearms in there, which is my favorite sidearm in the game. And so every once in a while I'm like, oh man, this is awesome. But there's not enough weapons, and like it's all stuff that we recently had for the most part in that pool. So I would like to see them move the Dares of Eternity loot pool, put that whole thing into Banshee's thing. That way you don't have to grind yourself to death in Dares of Eternity, and you have a chance of just randomly like, oh, today's the day, put it in the daily rotator, so it's real fast. It doesn't become a problem like Zer's Ingredient or something like that. I think it could be cool.
If I remember that activity right, the Arms Day, is you had to get like a frame and then you had to play with that frame and like do specific tasks, right? Like you had to get like 10 headshots in the Crucible with a sniper rifle or something like that. Is that how that worked?
That's right. You could hoard the bounty too, because I remember this because there was a fusion in there that I really liked.
Right.
And you could do the bounty and then just hold on to it until the week. It was like, that's the roll. I'm spending it on that.
Right.
I mean, heck, bring back faction weekly rolls. Everyone is like, no.
Well,
Dead Orbit, New Monarchy. I do like that Banshee has the daily and weekly stuff. Yeah, I just miss all the different sets of things that you could go check on a daily and weekly.
Like going around and checking what everybody's got.
Yeah.
Dreadnought says, "What's your favorite Destiny-related Lance Reddick memory?" For me, it was when he uploaded a video of himself playing Destiny, and he's a filthy warlock.
Yeah.
The irony in that, yeah.
I think for me, it was probably when it was during the season that Caitlyn was telling us to bow to her. And someone, a Destiny fan, submitted kind of just like a fan-made script of him saying what we wish he would say to Caitlyn, cursing her out, saying stuff like, the only reason I didn't bring the Guardians here is because they've just got the new darkness ability that they're throwing around, having a good time with. And it's like, all I need to take you out is tell the Guardians that I can turn you into a gun, or Eris can. And yeah, that was really good. And he did stuff like that all the time. He'd record messages for people and read it in Zavala's voice. Yeah, that was incredible.
Yeah, I agree on that one.
I'm going to ignore the assignment and say him in The Wire was amazing. I loved him in The Wire. And I'm going to miss him as an actor a lot.
As an actor, for sure. He was so good in everything that he played in. I do want to bring up that I feel like he was one of the first accounts that I was following that would really comment on real world events that was involved in the Destiny community, and like always had a positive outlook on the betterment of humanity, and it was consistently like I want people to be good to each other, and you just don't see a lot of that on the internet sometimes. And he would stand up for people who needed standing up for, and just it was always refreshing to see basically every aspect of his life, which I think is why this whole thing hits so hard. But those are the ones that stood out to me were outside the game, and the fact that he was so involved made them stand out more.
Sith Wicked says, if you could turn Callus into an exotic weapon or armor, what archetype or armor piece would he turn into, and what would be the perks?
It's gotta be a chalice, right?
No, he'd be a
shoulder pads.
Oh, shoulder pads would be good. He would be like some kind of shoulder-mounted weapon that poured wine, like it just shot wine.
Makes Guardians fall over.
Yes.
Like it makes Guardians drunk. All their controls go backwards.
Of Callus wine.
In honor of his gold witness hand, I feel like I would want some sort of Midas touch weapon that, like, instead of when you fusion someone, they kind of like disintegrate, or if you get someone with solar kill, they, evaporate. I want it to like turn them into gold, like stasis, but they just freeze into gold.
Yeah.
I'm going with a chalice melee weapon. I want to run around and smack people with it, and when you hit them, the wine falls out of the chalice.
It's like Smash Bros.
Or they get turned into like wine, and it fills up the chalice, and you get like some sort of special move at the end once you've collected enough Guardian juice.
They spin around and go raw, and spin your wine around.
Make some sort of like wine vortex, sucks everyone into it. They have to dance, have a big party.
Kane Shin Phoenix says, do you feel that if Nimbus had died instead of Rohan, the effect would have been more impactful, showing the last of the Striders just before the end of L&D Saga? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this idea. And aside, rip Lance, eyes up. No, I don't think so, because you didn't have enough time to like form a bond with either of those characters to feel an impact of their death. It just felt like throwaway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the post campaign stuff needed to be a bit more in the main campaign to feel some sort of connection to the Cloud Striders, and even then, I think you might have needed a bit more time with them.
Yeah, 100%. It should have been taking you through those missions through the campaign.
Yep.
Yeah. Needed to know more about what a Cloud Strider was and what it meant to be a Cloud Strider and how they signed up to be a Cloud Strider and their backstory and all that kind of stuff.
It'd be interesting if they kind of fill out his story moving forward, actually, so that we care about his death more later.
Could be, yeah.
Hugo Rune says, if you could only eat one color of food for the rest of your life, what color would you choose and why?
Got to be red, right? If for me, I think.
What's red? Apples.
Well, also like medium rare steak.
Strawberries.
Okay, you've got steak in there. I was going to say brown for steak, but rare steak is better than brown steak.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things that are green. You got fruits
Green,
that are
yeah.
green. You got vegetables that are green.
Yeah,
Colors
but
of
it's
Baconator?
not the best stuff, is it?
Brown?
No.
Yeah, Brian's like brown.
I don't know.
You got what? Mushrooms and steak.
See, Lego got red to include steak, and I like a lot of other red stuff too. I think
Yeah,
red,
like what?
I think I'm aboard with Lego here.
Pepperoni?
Pepperoni,
Apples,
right?
Pepperoni, strawberries.
I mean, I think my food dye game is going to go way up here.
Cherry Starburst?
Yeah, exactly.
Only the red Skittles. Those are the best ones.
Oh
anyway.
yeah, only the red M&Ms.
Yeah.
There's no red cheese, though, is there?
Oh, come on. They can make it that any color they want. There's the stuff with the red wax on the outside. What's that?
Well, that's the outside of the cheese. That's
That
not
doesn't
it.
Whatever.
count.
Come on. You're going to
Baby
get
Bell
technical
doesn't
with me.
No red bread.
No, but you can't do white because
Brown? You could do brown as part of it.
Brown. You could do brown. You're not eating a lot of vegetables if you go brown.
Baconator, that's all I need.
Not for long. Triggerblade X says, who should have died instead of Amanda, and why is it Crow? I mean,
I don't know if anyone really needed to be
No.
honest, right now.
Yeah.
yeah.
like, as much as I want to see Crow get his, like, I want it to mean something. I want us to build up. I want some pageantry. It was fun watching Amanda just put a slug in his dome, but like, I really want to see something like grandiose when he goes down.
If he had sacrificed himself for her, I think it would have made an impact.
That would have been cool, but I think they got bigger plans for Crow.
Yeah.
Sadly. Soul Invictus says, which is the most terrifying scenario in your opinion? Having to sit on a plane next to a passenger with a coughing baby, or having to escape from a hydrogen bomb falling from the sky? I mean, a coughing baby, that's not that bad. It's better than a crying baby.
Yeah, so
It's
you guys
better
are
than a bomb.
Yeah.
baby haters.
Yeah. Damn.
Did you have a
Babies-
tragic
babies aren't
incident
bomb.
recently with a baby?
Have you heard a baby cough? It's like, it's so cute.
Screaming is a lot different, yeah.
Screaming is different. But I mean,
As a
even
parent.
then, like we have technology like, noise canceling headphones these days. It's not, we're not in the Middle Ages when you had to just sit there and listen to it.
This person clearly was on a flight and was like, I would rather be under a bomb.
Yeah, they're typing the question on the flight on
Yeah, right.
Twitter over
Yep.
Wi-Fi.
I don't know. I tend to, since becoming a parent, I tend to have a lot more forgiveness for screaming babies and the like. It's like, what are you going to do? It's like, you can't make the baby stop screaming.
Now, if it's
Yeah,
the
you
baby
can-
from Resident Evil 7, that's a different story. Is
Kill
it
that
7 or
baby.
8?
Eight.
Then,
That's
yeah,
not
8. Yeah, get me out of there. I'll take the bomb.
Yeah, that made me good with no babies. That
Here's
was-
the thing: you can put in earplugs for the baby, right?
Yeah.
Earplugs aren't going to save you from a bomb.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a pro tip. Is bring earplugs when you go travel.
First time we traveled with our kiddo, it was like 2 or 3, and I brought a like Costco sized bag of earplugs
Yeah.
for people.
For everyone else.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's nice.
That's so nice. Did the baby cry or no?
He just didn't sleep.
Hmm.
He just wanted to nurse the whole time.
I'm terrified of traveling with kids. I'm like, I've already said to Leo, if he doesn't understand, I said, mate, you're not getting on a plane till you're like 8. Okay?
You should be
And
terrified.
I can
That's
discipline
right.
you if you're naughty, and you know what it means to lose the Nintendo. Okay, then we can go traveling.
Listen, there's a reason that airlines put all the parents with kids in the back. Like, you have to sit in the back. You literally can't have, like, I've tried to book seats in the middle with
Really?
like kids, and they're like, no, you got to be in the back,
the back.
3 rows.
You gotta go to back. We have a partition we bring out, and it's noise canceling. We just stick you in the box.
Yeah, that makes sense, right? You're also going to be slower getting off the plane, so you're going to hold up everything. Makes sense.
True.
Closer to the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
I have basically stopped flying coach. I will not do it anymore. I only will fly
That is a Briar thing to
Hoity
do. Yeah. Trust fund Briar.
I hate sitting in coach so much that I just refuse to do it.
To have that choice.
Juice says, "Love you guys. Listen weekly. Bungie has said they're going to nerf SMGs, but instead they're going to bring everything else up to their level. Do you think that will mean a 0.5 second TTK for hand cannons and pulse rifles, or what else do you think they're going to do?"
That sounds bad. Because currently, like, how fast you die from a mortal doesn't feel good. Like, if you peek and there's 2 people with a mortal, you are dead instantly. There's no even, you can't even move, you can't turn, you can't jump, you can't do anything. Oh, that was for PvE. Oh, Bungie was talking about PvE with those changes. There you go.
I was gonna say,
There you
where
go.
did they say this?
I was gonna say, I
remember
thought this
reading
was a hypothetical, so I was like, no, that would be not good. We're going to like Call of Duty time to kill just across the game. Which is,
I mean, SMGs and PvE are overperforming, I would say.
yeah. I would love for
For
hand
mobs.
cannons to be like that in PvE. Because currently I'm just shooting my hand cannon like, oh god, nothing's happening.
Yeah.
Subsistence or
Ju-
bust.
Do you remember when Fatebringer was your go-to, like in PvE?
Yeah.
Oh, baby. It felt so good.
Yeah.
Thomas says, "Do you feel Guardian ranks are a miss? It seems what Bungie thinks is mastery of the game just isn't eye to eye with Guardians actually think. Is this a full rework or just scrap it and forget it scenario?"
I think they can change Guardian rank stuff like pretty well. I don't know for sure, but to me it seems like they can change it pretty easily because they're changing the seasonal stuff in Guardian ranks every season. So they would just need to change what you need to do, right? So, we have cute kids on board. Watch the
Yeah, watch the
video.
YouTube
We
video.
were just talking about
Watch the
children.
YouTube video.
Mm-hmm.
My wife is like, you should lock the door from now on. I'm like, all right.
I think it's a complete rework. I think scrap this system. I have no interest in engaging with it whatsoever. I think that the old system was better than the new system.
There was no old system.
Well, the old system was it showed your triumph score above your head.
Season
right?
rank.
Your season rank.
Well, that's just
Season rank.
changing what it shows above your head.
Right.
Like there wasn't a system that was like Guardian
Guardian
ranks.
ranks.
I think this system should be cumulative over like the lifetime of Destiny, not replaced every season with a score that you have to regrind. I think there's too much grinding in Destiny personally. That's just me. I don't like engaging with the grindy stuff as much as other people do. But I have no interest in engaging with the system whatsoever.
It feels like it's they're trying to solve the issue with new players, right? Because this is the whole point, right? They wanted to guide new players to the things they should be doing, like the onboarding experience, and also so they could see who was experienced. However, I think it undermines how fragmented Destiny community is, where some people just play Cruci, some people play raids, some people some people play Gambit. Okay, so like,
No, come on. Get real.
and like so many of us at level 6 because we're not willing to engage with parts of Destiny we don't enjoy. But that means that we're not experienced, which is not the case. It means we're experienced in a certain part of the game that we like. And I don't think Guardian Ranks doesn't acknowledge that. It makes you just go through the motions.
Yeah, I think I really liked the idea of Guardian Ranks being the mastery, which is what they kind of said Guardian Ranks was going to be, right? You can see someone's Guardian rank and go, "Oh, this person's played a lot of Destiny. They really know their way around." But they just straight out have just left out parts of the game. There's no Crucible in there. There's no Gambit in there. And whatever you say about Gambit or Crucible, like they're parts of the game. And I feel like if you are rank 11, you should have to do something to do with like a portion of the game. They're literally just listing PvE things and ignoring the rest of the game, which is very, very strange for a thing that's going to be next to your name, showing your mastery of Destiny. It's very strange.
Well, I think
like if this was
that's the thing right there is the difference of like that's the thing that everybody sees is your Guardian rank and it's displayed above your head, like, but also Guardian ranks is supposed to like introduce new players to the system, and I feel like they're trying to do too many things with it, and if it was, they need to split it up, because I, as somebody who doesn't care about Guardian ranks, I care about, maybe the comp playlist and how high I got, or what I did in trials this weekend, or, the random other stuff you want to showcase, not this Guardian rank that only has to do with PvE, which has nothing to do with my identity as a Guardian. And that's like, it can do one or the other. It can't do both.
But here's the thing, like titles basically do that. Like if you're good in an area, you go and get a title, and that shows off like the thing that you've mastered, right? So it's almost like it doesn't seem to acknowledge the different areas of Destiny that you might like. And if it did do that, then it would be redundant, because sort of titles kind of do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like gilding titles sort of shows like that you've done a certain bit of content. So I think it's a miss, and it's like the wrong direction for player onboarding. I don't know. Then again, I don't know. Maybe new players have liked it. I guess that's the question to ask. Is like, has this helped new players understand what they should do?
Yeah.
And now they understand they shouldn't play Crucible and they shouldn't play Gambit, which is correct.
Excuse me, Mylan. They have to talk to Shax. They have to have a conversation. Okay.
Do they?
Yeah, that's part of Guardian Ranks. You talk to Shax. You just never
have to talk to
participate in his activity.
You don't have to do anything. Yeah.
Gator says, Twitter wants to know, is it okay to post spoilers from the weekly mission on Twitter? Peace and love.
I will say not 15 minutes after reset. I'm going to say not then is not the time to do it. I know that we get into this thing with Destiny where I think people have done that for a while, but you have to have some kind of empathy for people who are at work. If it's East Coast, it's a 10 o'clock reset time. So whether you're on Pacific or East Coast, you're probably at work. You don't have a chance, an opportunity to play the weekly story mission yet. And I saw a spoiler for it when I just logged into the DCP account. Top tweet. First thing I opened Twitter.
Sorry.
DCP account.
I got so excited, Watts. What was I supposed to do?
A week, maybe?
Yeah, I think a week. Definitely not 15 minutes. And there is also a spoiler filter on Twitter that you can use.
Yeah, like use that if you want to talk about it. Like if you want to talk about it, you can talk about it, but use that and like try and be vague about it. Like
And
also don't at me. It kind of pisses me off when people at me like 10 minutes after.
You must get it a lot.
What are your thoughts on Amanda's death? Motherfucker, it's 5 a.m. I haven't even turned on the computer yet.
You know who's worse, though, than people who spoil it on Twitter? Are YouTubers who make it their like title or their thumbnail. Like they'll put the spoiler in the thumbnail. So you can't even like start reading a sentence and be like, oh, this is a spoiler, I'm gonna stop reading. You just like see a picture of like what happened. You're like, this motherfucker. I write in the comments like you should change that thumbnail when I see that. It pisses me off.
If you're looking to talk about it, there are places to go to do it. Like even if you're not in a Discord where you can privately talk about something, just go to Reddit, and there are private, like, this thread is locked for talking about the story, and go talk about it there. Like there are places you can go.
You know, it's while I was watching the Last of Us TV show, I don't know if you guys remember when Game of Thrones was being played and the Red Wedding was like approaching, and everybody who watched the Red Wedding and Game of Thrones was like, holy shit, I can't believe all you fuckers who read the book didn't completely spoil that for the rest of us. And there was like a real moment of like, wow, that was impressive, book readers. You guys did a good job. And I was wondering, like, as we got to the end of the season of The Last of Us, because there's a pretty big plot twist at the end of that, if video gamers would have the same restraint. And the answer was no. No, they definitely don't.
And it's still coming, too. Like, season 2, there's more stuff that we're having to hold our tongue on.
But I mean, the plot twist at the end of The Last of Us, I think, is like so epic that I've thought about it. I thought about it for years afterward. Like, what would I have done in that situation? And sadly, like a lot of people who were watching that show did not get to see that like happen in real time. Because video gamers just not good with spoilers.
Just like at least wait a day, at least wait until people can get home to play the story.
Or wake up.
Yeah, or wake
do
up.
it in DMs. Be like, hey, did you see that? You know,
Yeah.
did you do this? Did you see that? And if the answer is no, then well, let me know when you did because I can't wait to talk about it. But don't just post it publicly. That's just what the fuck.
Yeah.
Have some compassion, man. All right, I'm gonna do one more.
Okay.
I'm looking for a good one. Talk amongst yourself.
So how you guys doing?
Iron Maiden stuff's pretty good.
I've started a fresh playthrough of Lightfall with a veil counter.
Oh.
And every time the veil is said, I hit the record button and I capture that dialogue because I want to make a veil video. And I think I'm up to mission 3, and I think the veil counter's on 30 plus.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Did you? And I assume one of your hobbits is taking shots every time the veil is mentioned.
No, they're dead. They're rest in peace.
It was Sir
They're
Gooch.
gone.
It was Sir Gooch's birthday, and he thought that's how he would celebrate his birthday.
Yeah. I did joke that I was going to take a shot every time they said the veil, but turns out that's not good for your health.
Are we just forgotten about the veil? Obviously, you and your chat have not forgotten about the veil, but I have not thought about the veil basically since the week of the story. Like it was so
actually it was in the Avalon mission this week.
Oh, was it?
With Ashemia. Yeah,
I didn't play that.
Asher
like I haven't
has
played
the
that
veil.
like a big sort of surprise secret ending kind of deal,
Okay.
which is pretty interesting.
I need to play it.
I can never take
Yeah.
Asher seriously. I'm sorry.
No?
Yeah. Okay, Jay. I was saying this. Like, none of yous liked Ashemir, and all
I
of a
actually
sudden-
did.
I love Asher.
I actually
I
did
didn't
the
like
whole
him.
time.
He reminds me of Holtzman.
I did.
I was good as like, because I was like, everyone's on their side now. Lol. Ashemir's so cool. I was like, no. When Ashemir was a vendor, he was incredibly annoying, and you all hated him. Okay.
I remember
Just
saying
like-
that I liked him and people bullying me.
Just like
Good.
Holtzman.
No, but
Kind of an asshole, but we love him.
I'm gonna
always
asshole, but he'll fix your computer when it breaks.
Put his voice over in Riven, in Last Wish when it pops on. It's like, oh no, not Asher.
I got a question for you guys, actually. I want to start a fresh Destiny 2 account. But I don't know how to do it. I just want to I want to play through like the beginners, like the fresh person's, like what's it look like to play Destiny 2 starting from scratch. I don't
that would
even
be
know.
very interesting.
Yeah, but I don't actually know how to go about it. Like, is the best way to just start a new Steam account? Or
Yeah,
like
I'll
a
just
new
start a new Steam account.
PlayStation
Right?
account? But then I gotta buy it
Yeah.
again. Or no, I guess I'd have it shared.
Free to play.
That's
Free to play,
true.
yeah.
Yeah.
Account
Yeah,
share. You can share
if
it.
you want the true experience, just create a new Steam account and do the free to play version of
Free-to-play.
Destiny.
Do I have to
Yeah.
install it again? No, right? Because it would
No.
just
No, you can share
No.
your library
Yeah.
with people in your house.
Okay. All right. I might do that. I was thinking about playing on the Xbox and just like unlinking my Xbox from my Bungie account. Because I think that would have the same effect, right? Yeah.
I just saw Briar trying to smurf to Ascendant. Yeah, you're trying to keep your big skill away on your main account.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah,
you've been
that's
doing
what's
all the
happening.
time. Yeah.
Clearly.
It's like
I
just
don't
for
even-
asking for a friend, for the new light experience.
Really, what's going on is my vault is just such a fucking mess. I don't even want to deal anymore. I just want to start from fucking scratch.
He's making his own Destiny 3.
Yeah.
On PlayStation, at least, I think you can like create a new account, and because you pay for PS Plus on that console, you can still access all the multiplayer content and just play with that new account as a free-to-play account and just start from scratch.
That would
Because
work.
I've done that before for Destiny to try it out. I did it way back though. I haven't done it in a long time, but it worked back then, so I'd imagine it would still work.
I prefer the PlayStation controller too, so it'd be better. Okay. My last question from Twitter is from Stormy AUS. How would you commemorate Lance Reddick in the game? Would it be an exotic weapon or perhaps an emblem, etc.? I think it'd be cool to put a statue of maybe him or his warlock right in the tower. Like a statue of him, I think would be fitting and fucking awesome.
The one that they have the 3D printing thing for.
Yeah, that one is
That
great.
blueprint.
That was beautiful.
Yeah, it'd
Well
be
done.
nice to acknowledge not just like Commander Zavala, but Lance himself in some
Yeah.
way.
Agreed.
I don't know what the best way. It's a tough topic because you got to do it tastefully, and I think subtle was probably best for that. Those who know Lance and know Commander Zavala, whether it's in an emblem or like the name of a weapon and like the flavor text of a weapon, or a quest line, like a quest line for it of some sort. Don't know.
Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
I'm not sure. I haven't really thought about it. The only thing that I've thought is, that I hope we get to hear what he's recorded just straight up as he's recorded it, without them changing it. But I do trust that Bungie will figure out the best way to do this. I think that they're probably one of the better studios to navigate this kind of stuff. So yeah, we'll see.
All right, that's going to wrap up this episode of DCP, episode something or another. Thank you all for joining us. We'll be back next week. Is there anything else we got to say? We good to go?
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Thanks for the subs and the
Thanks.
Patreons. If you want to see an ad-free experience, maybe you're getting some weird political ads that you don't agree with, you should go to Patreon because
that has happened.
that has happened. There's
Yeah.
an ad-free version on Patreon.
Yeah.
And it goes up right after the show.
Yeah, literally the next thing I'm going to do is post that. Yeah. All right. Adios.
Peace.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye. Bye.